Good.
We're just gonna hear quietly staring.
Just
We're
give
waiting for you
everybody.
people to talk.
I don't quite know what to do with my hands.
Oh my God.
We'll wait here for a minute. What's the time?
Time is the time for the time of the time. Right now is the time.
Well, anyway.
Wait.
Let's get started. You good, Emma? Mm-hmm. Okay.
8:05.
Welcome everybody to season 1, episode 7 of Nprc Talk with Randy Vieira and Rick Bellotti will be here in a minute, and myself, Daniel Judd. Brought to you by 707 Streetcars. I want to start off by giving some shouts out right now. First of all, I want to say God bless all the first responders and the nurses on the line, like Ricky Bellotti's wife. All the people that are having to deal with this stuff. It really sucks. You know, it's there's nobody in the world right now it hasn't touched in some way or the other. So, I want to give a couple shout outs first, and we'll get going. And then I want to touch on a couple topics, and we'll get right into the nitty gritty of some tech talk today. Get into some triple T. Okay, so I want to give a shout out to Troy at Phantom Batteries, Motors. He makes all kinds of stuff. If you don't have some Phantom stuff, get out there. Reach out to Troy. Reach out to Phantom.com. Phantom RC products. You can Google just about anything that has to do with RC cars and the word Phantom, and they will come up. So go out and get you some Phantom stuff. I want to give a shout out to Steve. Steve is a guy that I've talked to recently. He's a really nice guy. He's a really understanding guy. I'm really proud to be on your team. And we're going to keep doing what we do. And part of that, even though the actual season hasn't started yet, part of that is going to be doing some winning for us. So, Santa Claus here.
Ho, ho, ho.
But see, the one on that table, though, you can't set that there because now everybody's going to know that we got more than one of these.
How are you guys supposed to swap cars if you
How are we
guys got
supposed
two
to
of them?
swap cars if you got like 9 of them?
I don't know.
Yeah, let's set some heavy hitters up here.
Why don't we set them upside down?
Yeah, here you go. So let's get into this.
Make some room for the Phantom here.
And we'll get into these bellied up cars here in a minute.
Oh, my canards.
So again, shout out to Troy at Phantom. He represents me and Ricky in the race scene. He's one of our sponsors, and we love their stuff. If you don't want to run their stuff, that's fine. But if you wanna put a car together like ours and try and do some of this stuff, I mean, Phantom's a way to get there. We absolutely recommend their products. It's what I run in all my stuff. It's what Ricky runs. It's good stuff. So. My next shout out obviously was to Steve at RCRI. Again, Steve's just a really good guy. He's if you've been kind of teetering on the fence about whether or not what chassis to buy, right now would be a good time to reach out to RC Racing Innovations. They have a Facebook page and a website. Buy it, pull the trigger if you got the money to do it. Get yourself an RCRI and see what we're raving about. So. Ron Shirt Hobby Wing. Hobby Wing is my speed control sponsor, and I just want to say what's up to Ron, and that we're going to clear a lot of things up here tonight. We got some stuff to say, but yeah, give a shout out to Hobby Wing. Hobby Wing's great stuff. This stuff has never let me down. I race it really hard, and I really push it to the limit. I lean on these cars really hard. So to these two guys and everybody else. Before I do any more shout outs, I want to clear one thing up before I clear a bunch of other stuff up. And that is, it was brought to my attention that I was doing, we'll get into how it was brought to my attention here in a minute, but that I was breaking protocol with Hobby Wing as a sponsor due to the fact that I was introducing these guys as sponsored Hobby Wing drivers. And that is absolutely not true. I said many times, I give shots out to Hobby Wing. I love their stuff. I race their stuff. I win with their stuff. And I am a sponsored Hobby Wing driver. I've never once said, Ricky, welcome to Hobby Wing. Do they have Hobby Wing hats and shirts? Yeah, they buy their own stuff. They run it in their cars and they pay for it with their own hard-earned money. And that's the extent of that. And what I meant by team was this is my team. They're not with the sponsored Hobby Wing team, but they run Hobby Wing stuff, and this is my team. So for some of those people that just couldn't seem to get that right, that's what's going on. So anyway, I want to give a huge shout out to Jake Rosen at Jake's Performance Hobbies in Rohnert Park, California, 707-586-3375. He's in Rohnert Park, California. You can get a hold of him through Facebook, Jake at Jake's Performance Hobbies. You can get through, does he got his email in there? No. But anyway, they're at 6650 Commerce Boulevard. If you're from around here, you know where they're at. He's one of the hobby shops that's trying to do most curbside deliveries. And
message him on Facebook.
You can message him on Facebook, and he'll give you a tally. And he does shipping. I mean, he's really helping a lot of RC guys out in this COVID thing. So, what's up, Jake? That was 707-586-3375. If you want to just call them. So, I want to give a shout out to Chris Silva. Chris Silva, one of our segments we're going to do tonight, guys, is we're going to go into all the transmissions that I feel that covers pretty much everybody. There might be an odd guy or two that's trying something different, and that's cool, but I don't know about that stuff. So we're going to be covering transmissions and what we do and what we're running and stuff. And we got a Traxxas, brand new Traxxas transmission, a Pro line, and for you Associated guys, we got Associated Tranny, and he's going to be going through that. But I want to give a shout out to Chris Silva, because Chris Silva, none of us had a stock Traxxas transmission that was in decent enough shape to show you guys. So thank you, Chris, for letting me borrow it. I'll get it back to you. I want to give a shout out to Kelly Purdy. Kelly Purdy's a close friend of mine in this COVID thing. You know, he lets us jam around on his RC track, and he's one of my best friends. The guy would just bend over backward to give you a shirt. So if you're around the local area of Sonoma County, Northern California, Marin County, and you want some exhaust work done, whether it's a Maserati or a Camaro or a Mustang or a tractor, I mean, go see the guy. He does really good work. So I want to give two more shout outs to two people. Number one, Jill Miller, and another is Kobe Shutter, her son. Both real honest, down to earth people, and they're just really nice people, and I like nice people in my life, and I'm just really I feel grateful to be talking with them. Kobe Shutter, he's a 16-year-old kid. He's really smart. He already understands all this, and he's trying to get his no prep car going. And I'm gonna give him some advice as far as setting it up and stuff, and hopefully we'll see him, out on the track, and he'll be ripping it up.
Jill just messaged me. She works for American Airlines, so she flies free. So she's gonna.
Oh, she flies free. Awesome, nice.
I
Cool,
told her to
Jill.
send me some plane tickets, and she asked if I wanted the coronavirus.
Would you like your peanuts and coronavirus, or no? Hold the coronavirus, please. Okay, so the two things we're gonna do tonight, guys, is we're gonna go through transmissions, and we're gonna do some tech talk on batteries. Okay, so. Before I do that, I have some little tiny things to deal with real quick. 2 minutes tops. And then we're going to, I want to say address, but kick the big elephant in the room out of the room.
Things.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about that for 5 or 10 minutes. And then we are going to leave all this behind us. We're going to turn the page, and we're going to get right onto our regular scheduled programming of teaching guys how to go fast based off of what we know. Okay. And that's what we do here. Okay. So first of all, there's a guy that you guys all know out there. His name's Tim Smith, okay? Guys, I've always said this. I said, guys, he's been in RC for a long time and this and that. Well, and I've always respected him, even in the last couple months, for some reason, this guy's taken it upon himself. I don't know if it's because we won the Vegas race. I don't know if it's because of this show. I have no idea. I've never met the guy. I when I first, even way before, about a year or two ago, when we first got friends on Facebook, I messaged him when I was thinking about max amp batteries, and he never get back to me. I was like, okay, whatever. But then then we became friends on Facebook, and that was about where it stayed. And in the last couple months, ever since the Vegas race, the guy's just given us, problem after problem on the internet. And I've bit my lip, and I've bit my lip, and I've bit my lip. And when people come to me and talk about it, I start off every sentence, because I'm a gentleman. I say, I totally respect the guy, and I know he's done a lot in his RC career and stuff, but this is what happened, or whatever, and this and that. Well, and first of all, I want to get off by saying this is so stupid. You know what I'm saying? This whole thing is so stupid. So anyway, what happened is I portrayed a message that I thought one of his videos he posted was sped up, because we looked at it and we could find the flaws after other videos, and I didn't even say anything. I put a GIF on Facebook. And the guy immediately attacks me with you only run with the same 50 guys, so you can't be fast and this and that. I immediately start calling the guy out. Let's race, dude. Let's race. And after over 2 days and 25 or 30 times of saying, dude, let's race. Let's just meet up and race. And everybody knows right from the get-go, I put $1,000 up to his 100 just because I was, and this and that. And he would never accept or even talk about meeting up and racing, playing some kind of game. And every now and then, him or one of his cronies would step in and just say something rude. So I got to the point where I was stressed out about it. I work for the police department. I'm working full-time through this COVID thing. I don't need this crap. So I come home yesterday from work. I'm dog beat tired. I walk in the door, and I get a call from my sponsor, the first one, okay, RCRI. Well, Tim Smith had reached out to RCRI and badmouthed me and basically portrayed everything that Tim did to me on the internet as far as the ridiculing and the names. Because even though I'm not a saint, I can talk trash, but about cars. And at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, cool, I hope I race with you someday, brother. But this guy goes too far, okay? When you're just plain and simply mean, okay? And I mean, I'm already getting flustered here. Basically, the guy reached out to my sponsor. I had a long talk with him, and it turned out my sponsor also has had several problems with him and has had to block him on Facebook. And in the last couple days, I've recently realized that Tim Smith has had this problem with a lot of people. He likes to play games, and I'd still like to say I have nothing against the guy, but at this point I do. Tonight, I got notified through a third hand, not even from them, yet I still have to talk about him, that Hobby Wing is launching an investigation over something that I said or some names I called somebody. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm the one that got called names. So how do you do something to somebody, get them riled up, and then you take what you did and call their sponsors? So that's RCRI, Hobby Wing. This has gone way too far. So first of all, when I walked in the door yesterday and I had to deal with him reaching out to RCRI. That's when I was like, you know what? That's it. I'm done. I blocked him and his buddies. I'm like, I'm just done with this. I'm above this. I have better things to do. Well, since I've blocked him, now Tim is coming out of the woodworks and he's saying, well, I guess I'm blocked and we can't race. Dude, you know that I called you out 25 times and you didn't take it, dude. That's all we had to do was race. It never had to go here. All you had to say is, dude, you're willing to come down and give me 1,000 if I win to my 100? Sure, let's do it. Nor did any of his friends step in and say, dude, take the bet, take the bet. They were just right there playing games with him. I don't play games. You guys, if you don't like me, then you don't like me. You don't like Rick or Randy, then that's your prerogative. You're free white over 21 and you're an American. But you know what, dude? You've caused way too much drama in this, okay? And as far as my sponsors go, if there's a sponsor out there that wants to take a rumor from somebody like Tim Smith and they want to listen to that and make a rash decision without talking to me, their sponsee first, then I don't want to represent you anyway. So that's what I got to say about that. I ain't ever once claimed anybody was ever sponsored by Hobby Wing. The speed controls, there were 3 XR10 Pros that I sold last year. And I sold them because it was old stock that I had bought with my own money before I got on with Hobby Wing. And let's face it, Hobby Wing ain't giving me nothing. I'm getting a discount, a small discount at that, okay? And to say that I'm bringing 10 of these to the races and selling them out the back door, that's just down. You should be ashamed of yourself, man. You really should. You should be ashamed of yourself. And I'm calling you out on Facebook because it ain't right. When I can take the trash talk. You want to call me names? You can call my mom names. I don't care. I can deal with all that. But when you pry into my personal life and get into my personal affairs, now you done taking it serious, okay? I'm taking it serious. So as far as I'm concerned, from right now on, Tim Smith, you don't exist in my life. Tim who? You're nobody. You're nothing to me, okay? So does anybody else have anything to say with what's gone on and the behavior over stupid toy cars in the last 72 hours?
I think you said it pretty well.
Okay, okay. I called you out. You see that right there? It's a $20,000 razor. I'll put the razor up that you wouldn't win me in a no-prep race. But you wouldn't take the call out. And you were so childish you let it get to a point to where you got blocked. How does that feel? To be a grown man and get blocked on Facebook because of your behavior. So whatever. Tim who? So there's one more little thing. There's a rumor going around out there. Obviously, I get it. I'm gonna let it roll off my shoulders, but I got to deal with it at some point because it builds, and unless you pop it, it's just gonna explode. The other little thing is the fact that there's somebody out there who thinks that, was it all just a dream? Was it all a dream? I used to read. No, it's not an illusion. I didn't sell Ricky the car and then make that up so that we could, I guess, switch the bodies or something. So, and nobody believes that we have, and I told one guy this week, I said, do you think by chance that Steve at RCRI, by some small little, I don't know, desire to want to turn a profit, maybe made more of one of these chassis? Well, here they are. This is how many Black Widows we got. You can go down the line. This is a Black Widow chassis. Identical. The suspension setup, the bodies, I think, except for the last two are the Pontiac and the Nova. Here's the Ghost right here. RCRI Black Widow, same thing. Pro Line Trans, XR10 Pro Speed Control. This is one of Ricky's new builds, a new chassis he bought from RCRI. This is a Black Widow chassis. And what's that down there? Is that an Associated? Is that a Losi?
Black Widow.
That's not an Arma. Wait, is that the Ghost or is this the Ghost? Or is this... I can't tell. Which one's the Ghost? That one's the Ghost. You know why? Because it's beat to shit. That's why you know it's the Ghost. Okay? So anyway, I've gotten that out of my system. You know, you guys... I can talk smack with the best of them. But I'm not out there calling anybody names. Okay? I'm not contacting your sponsors. And I just want to let all this go. I really do. I couldn't have gone any more further than I did to race somebody, and I couldn't have extended any more of a hand to race somebody, and I think I took a red line of the crap that I was getting for a toy car, and we are just going to move on. So that's that. So, and it's not the first time this has happened with this dude. This dude's got problems all over the United States from all the races he's gone to, and the people that you know, I mean, I've talked to 10 or 15 people that have had the same kind of problem with him playing games. So, you know, I guess go turn the PS4 on. So anyway, what are we going to talk about tonight, guys?
Transmissions.
Transmissions?
The trannies.
Oh, that was not the right one. Transmissions.
Missions.
Brought to you by Randy. Okay, so let's get some of these cards. This is the brand new Gunslinger, and look at this. Oh my God, is it a mirror? Maybe he's like maybe he hired David Copperfield. Same things, dude. Carbon copies. Why? Because it works. Okay, take that one. You take that one. Well, I didn't give you much of a space to. And you got Randy. I'm sorry. You know, anybody who knows me knows that I'm not a GM guy, but dude, I love. Come on, man. Who isn't 30 plus and love the Bandit, right? And the cool thing that I like about the color he painted this. And I was telling him this, we were talking about it. I said, you know what, there was a Stephen King movie, and it was a high school kid. It was a vampire or something, and he was trying to hide it. Well, the high school he was in, he would drive to high school every day, and he had that exact same car, the same blue, the chrome TA tips out the back. And when I was a kid, I was like, that's a pretty bitchin' car. So I like the body, and I think it's working good, right?
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna rework a couple of things, but other than that, I like it. I like it. I think I like it more than I did my Pro Mod Bunny. That I really liked.
It was like trying to snaggle or strangle a snake with that other body. You know, it was a little unpredictable, right? Is this more predictable?
It's I don't know that it was unpredictable as much as that my car's a little beat up now from whenever I did build it and hit a couple curbs and just put a different chassis, put a new chassis pan in it. Did a couple things, but it still has never been the same from when I first built it. Yeah. Which is I deal with it. I mean. That's what I use my wheelie bar for.
When I feel like a car's getting like that, I'll give it all new hinge pins. I'll change all the bearings in all four corners. Go through the tranny, and just
tranny's been gone through a couple times. I put new bearings in. I think I did do new bearings in the rear hub carriers because I went to aluminum hub carriers, just for something more stout.
Okay.
The plastic.
Yeah, my plastic stuff.
Not for anything. Weight saving, but.
Okay, let me take one more thing too, and I forgot to mention this. I should have ended that whole the drama factory thing going on, or actually that went on because it's over now. I don't want anybody. Well, you can if you want, but we'll totally ignore you. I don't need any drama on my show. I don't need anybody messaging me, telling me anything right now derogatory on my Facebook page or on Randy's because it's on Randy's feed. So just save it. If you don't like it, turn it off.
Save the drama for your mama.
Yeah, go race with somebody else. Then you don't have to watch our show. Okay, I'm done. So. It is what it is, and I just that's what because I see you guys looking at your phones, and I'm like, I don't even want to go there, dude, So anyway, why don't you start grabbing us some stuff, if you would, Randy? That would be nice of you, please.
Please, I said please.
Hold on.
Please.
Okay, so what do we got here, Ricky?
That would be a stock Traxxas and a Proline case.
Okay, so why don't you open it up? Actually, give me the towels first. Let's bust everybody off the towel. Oh, or all of them.
One or all. No in between.
So here's for you.
All or nothing.
Here's for me. And if you want to move the TA, One for Randy.
Oh boy, David.
Way.
One for Randy.
Oh, here he goes.
Oh, your brother must be drinking.
I just saw that.
Dave, are you drinking again?
David.
Slow your roll, bro.
Give me the other
Sean
tool
Burr.
set in the Pro line. Let's scoot in here so we can try and keep it all. Here, let me get rid of this. Sean Burr?
This one's for
Yeah,
you.
Sean
This
Burr's
one's
on
for
here.
you.
Sean Burr's watching? Oh, okay, no, this is a treat. Now, Sean Burr, I've known for years and years and years. And I used to build stock cars. They were road race cars. And Sean got into the street outlaw stuff. And he's got, I'll admit it, he's got a badass Chevy, dude. He's right here local. And it's cool that this, sometimes you see this guy on TV and stuff. And like, hey, I know that guy. He's cool.
He
I've met-
races with the real no prep.
Yeah, he's raced the 405 a couple times and been all out there on the lights out and the cash days, and yeah, he's so what's up, Sean Burr? I hope that you like the show, because if not, there's not much I can do about it.
Sorry.
I have no place to put this, so I'm just gonna drop it. So what we got here, guys, is I know that 90% of everybody is running a Traxxas based chassis, okay, and for that you're either running a Proline or you're running a Traxxas transmission. And I know some of you guys out there that may not know the difference are going to step in and say, well, wait a minute, I have an HR transmission or I have an RPM case. Well, you know what? If you took your Traxxas transmission apart to build it, it's just a Traxxas transmission. And I ran the Traxxas transmission for the first, I think I've said this in my first video, for the first season, and I did very well with it. And every other time I'd grab the throttle, I was leaning on it so hard that I'd explode the diff. And I got it down to where in 17 minutes, because I don't just have a slash car that's really easily bolted together with 8 bolts. I have 34 bolts and 16 nuts, and the thing's all custom in the back. And so it's a pain in the ass to change a tranny. But I was playing Russian roulette. So here I had, HR diff and Robinson gears and HR tranny, and I had $200 into this tranny times 3 because I would have to change them out when I popped the diff. So that got old, and at the end of the first season, I was probably sitting, I don't know, 5th or 6th or something on the list. No, I was 3rd on the list already. And I decided I don't want to play Russian roulette anymore with my transmissions. I need a more reliable thing. And I gave the Proline a try, and you know what? I have one that I probably have 2,000 pounds, 3,000 pounds, never even taken it apart. I mean, I can't kill them. So it's taken the Proline... the Traxxas problem that we're going to go over with you that we have with him, and I'm going to show you the difference between the two of why we choose the Proline and why this is. I mean, this is only they're selling. It used to be $100. Now they're what, $84? Yeah. So if you got the money to get one of these, dude, get one of these. This is a race transmission. So then we got Randy over here. Randy, what are you going to show us?
I'm going to show you guys 2 transmissions.
Okay, let's keep those greasy things on here. Okay.
It's not greasy. Yeah, it's not open.
He doesn't want his pink bed sheet dirty.
I don't want to wash it. Okay.
I have the
Whatever, bro.
Pro SE10.
Whatever, Randy.
I have the Pro SE10 transmission, and I have an SC10 transmission. They are both completely different.
Now, I just said there's 90% of people out there running Traxxas transmissions because they're running Traxxas chassis. Why the hell would I have you bring some associated trannies on here?
Because I run an associated car.
Because the other 10% that have gotten into this are running associated cars, and I don't want you guys to be left out because one of the guys on my 707 Street Cars team, Hobby Wing not sponsored, I'm sponsored, not them.
I buy Hobby with my own money.
He bought Hobby Wing with his own money. Both of these guys are hard workers. They got good paying jobs.
Hold on.
And Hobby Wing
Hold
has
on.
the and Hobby Wing
Hold
has
on.
the.
Can you zoom in on that in there?
What's in
That's
there?
not even a hobby wing. That's a Tekin.
That's a Tekin right there.
Yeah, Hobby Wing has my information. They
Oh
can
no,
confirm-
what's he doing under the hood of the rest of the cars?
Yeah, Hobby Wing has my information. They can confirm that I've bought
that
many
one's
things from
still
them.
okay.
Well, as of this second, I'm still sponsored with Hobby Wing because I haven't heard otherwise from Hobby Wing, and I run all Hobby Wings. I probably, underneath all these sponsor banners, you guys, I don't know if you've seen it on other shows, I mean, this is lined with cars all up and down this shelf, and my cars have what, guys?
Hobby Wing.
I have Hobby Wing shit in all my stuff because I love it. So, anyway, let's start out with because I know you got to leave, right?
We'll be all right.
Okay, why don't I let you start? Here's this. If you want some better wrenches, these are just the. This is American. That's Imperial. That's Imperial. These are all metric. And then I have another set Just so when we get to you, why don't you start?
Oh,
That's
he
all I
gets the
need.
fancy.
Well, here, I don't care.
That's all I need.
Oh, they're
I don't
purple.
care, guys.
I
Huh?
just need the little funky dynamite.
This is the only wrench I need.
Because look, I come
Here,
prepared.
look at Randy. Okay, well, this might be a deciding factor in what brand you want to go with. He's got one wrench.
I already took all the everything is just bare transmission. This is
Hey,
a
I
brand
would
new
just like to
transmission.
say it looked like Emma ate Olaf. Okay, she is eating some powdered donuts because she ate all her dinner, and yeah, you just kill it, kid. Say hi, everybody.
Hi.
Say hi, mommy or Auntie Kay in case they're watching.
Hi, Mommy. Hi, Auntie Kay.
What about Grandma Laura and Sissy?
I got a lot of hi, Sissy.
Okay, I love you, baby.
You like my comment? LOL, whatever all went down is in the past. Time to make America, no prep great again.
Let's make no prep great again, right? Hey, I didn't even think about it that way.
I'm going to have a
Yeah.
hat made. I told Jake that I was going to have a hat made or a shirt.
You got the drama and you got the make no prep great again. I'll tell you what side I'm going to be on, okay? It ain't going to be the drama side. It didn't go. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's what I got to say about the drama. So, enough with that. I don't want to talk about that. So, what are you
tell it's
doing?
new. I'm trying to take the damn spur gear out.
You don't. Well, you can't unless you take that nut off.
No, you can.
Oh, you're just trying to pull a case
See?
apart. Oh, you took the 3 out. I didn't even notice that. Okay. Hey, it's been a long day, man. So, for some of you that don't know, I'm trying to buy a house right now. So, with my realtor and the finance guy, it's a lot of stuff plus work. And if again with the COVID-19 and coronavirus thing going on, guys, be grateful. I know it sucks. You're like, dude, everybody's home from work, and I don't want to get sick, and because that's how I feel when I go to work. But then I got to remember, I'm only going to work because they need me here, and this is my job, and I have money coming in, and there's so many people losing their houses and stuff like that, that live paycheck to paycheck, that we're just so lucky we're not in that bracket, and if I could help any of my close friends around the area, reach out to me, dude. If you need a trailer to move your stuff because you're moving, or you need a roll of toilet paper and you've been wiping your ass with pine cones from the tree out back for 2 days, dude, get a hold of me.
I got plenty too.
If
Fine cones or toilet paper.
if you're friends with me
gonna say.
and you don't have any food to feed your midget, dude, call me, man. That ain't cool.
Get at any of us if it's comes down to your kids. I don't got no problem.
I
ain't got
guess
kids,
I
but
should
have no problem
probably.
kicking down for people who do have kids.
Yeah, that's all I need. But do you need it?
Not yet.
Oh my gosh, you two.
Stock Traxxas. They don't come apart.
Okay, let's see who can do it first.
Well, I already know the pro
Well, he's
line.
been
well.
over here for 17 minutes.
I've been here for 17 minutes waiting. Mine are
Oh.
open.
Yours are already disassembled.
I only need one wrench. We're gonna call you One Wrench Randy. Oh, you like that, huh, kid?
Let's clarify what Jill Miller means by the only thing going down is y'all. Yeah. Is that a call out?
Oh.
Oh, Jill wants some. Hey, Jill, do you have a no prep car, or are you just running prep still? I would love to try. I've never raced any of the prep stuff. I'd love to do it, but we don't have a track that does it. You need to have a track that it's okay to put something on the ground, and you guys can consistently run there. I mean, it takes a lot to get a prep track. That's one of the reasons why we race no prep.
Tony, I could use one too. Tony said he ran out of beer. Hook me up, fellas.
Bakerfield's a long way to go for a beer.
Dude,
Or from Bakersfield.
I'll just PayPal you $10. Okay?
Not bad, Mo.
No offense, but I'm not driving to Bakersfield.
Someone told me in West Virginia today, I believe it was, that they started in-home beer and wine delivery because of this Corona shit.
Well, that's cool. Okay, so Ricky's taken apart the Traxxas, and I've taken apart the Pro line. And the reason why they are kind of the same, they have the same pitch gears. They have the same placement of gears. This has been copied. I don't want to say copied by Proline, but it has been recreated by Proline to keep the rest of it. So this is just for if you had a 2-wheel drive off-road Slash or a Rustler or a Bandit, this would just go right into it without any modifications to the car. And that's why they based it a lot on the Traxxas transmission. It has the same 2.72 gear ratio, output ratio. They kept the gear ratio the same, so you don't have to wonder, well, it's a 260. Am I losing something? Do I got to buy all new pinion gears? So it's awesome. Now what it does have that the Traxxas don't, that I think far I mean, it's just kind of a no-brainer. Number one, you got a really nice billet metal motor mount. You have, if you notice, the Traxxas transmission. Show us, Ricky. Is got an all-plastic diff. It's like ABS or something like that.
Metal gear on the
And all of them come full metal geared. Now I know there's been great. There's been I know this is what I'm going to explain tonight. The one reason why I switched over is one of three major problems that people will have with the Traxxas transmissions. I personally haven't had the other two. The other two are what? The idler gear blowing out, or the top pin on the top shaft for the gear breaking out, and the motor's still turning the pinion.
Oh, the pin on the backside.
Yeah, and it's turning the spur, and it's turning the top shaft, but the rest of the tranny's just sitting there. I've never had those problems. My problems were always in the differential. So let's start popping these diffs apart. Now, go over some similarities and some differences with what the Traxxas-based stuff has to the Associated.
Similarities: 3-gear transmissions. Differences:
Yeah.
2.6 gear ratio to 2.72.
So right there's a 2.62.
I think it's just 260.
260 final output drive ratio on the Associated transmission, and the Traxxas has a 272. So what does that mean? The lower the number, the higher it's geared. Okay, the higher the number, the lower it's geared. So this actually has a little bit lower gearing, not much. A tenth is not much at all. That's like the difference between a 373 and a 360 from Dodge. Okay, it's not a big deal. What is that going to do, Randy? If I have a lower gear ratio than you?
It's going to give you, you're going to be able to gear differently. It's going to give you different...
Maybe a little more torque off the line?
More torque or more top end, either way. It's, lower.
So when you have a lower gear ratio,
you get more,
I'm going to launch harder with this
launch,
tranny.
yes.
But when we get to the big end...
in theory, the Associated should be able to compensate, hopefully, at that point, and start to catch up or pass by that time.
How many people we got watching?
97.
98.
That's the most we've ever had of
We were up over 105, I believe.
Oh, come on, get your buddies back on there. So, I'm hoping you guys enjoy this. I mean, I could just sit here and rattle off just this and that and those and this and those and those for 20 minutes on stuff I want to go over with the shows. And you know what? From now on, that's what we're going to start doing. We're going to be giving the tech that the racers need out there. They're sitting there going, dude, come on, man, this coronavirus, can you please cover this? Can you please cover that? And we've talked about, I mean, look at that. Our last one took up an hour with Gabe because of the drama with Tim Smith and wanting to change the rules. And the week before we talked about it, and now it's something totally different in my spawn. We're done with this shit, dude. We're back to tech. We want to do tech. We want to help dudes go fast, you know? And if you want to take my advice and buy an XR10 Pro from Hobby Wing and buy a Phantom speed control and an RCRI Black Widow or the Pro, what's called the Pro chassis, either one of those, and you want to try and do what we're doing here and go really, really fast, well, awesome, dude. That's awesome. But if you don't want to do that, don't hate us because of it. Just
Preston, thanks for tuning in. It's the first time watcher.
Oh, Preston, what's up, Preston? Thank you for tuning in. First time. How can you tell he's a first time watcher?
He said so.
I'm like, does it have an icon I don't know about?
You're all good, Gabe.
I love Gabe. Gabe, if you're watching,
He is.
you're just, dude,
He's
I would
all
do
in
anything.
it.
Gabe is our race master. If you were here last week on our channel, Gabe's just he's just a good dude, man. I mean, I just put together a $2,500 sniper rifle, a Remington 700 with a 308 bore, and he came out with me and Randy here to the gun range for 2 hours and helped me dial in the scope and stuff and all, get all these expensive
Just
things.
watch, basically.
Yeah, I think he fired a couple times.
Oh, he did. But
I
no,
could not
he
let him
basically,
fire.
he didn't bring out a gun to shoot.
Yeah, the guy's always willing to help somebody, and that's why we love him so much. He's got a big heart. So.
We love Gabe.
You know what? Today I walked by and I'm like, dude, I bought those shop towels, all like a 4-pack, like 6 months ago. And I'm still in the first roll. And here we are. First roll's gone. Give me another one.
Hey, Nathan,
Do you guys want one for your hands here?
we'll show you.
You got one? Here you go, Randy.
Oh, yeah, Nathan's having
Nathan,
problems
we'll
with
show
wheelie
you
bar.
how to mount the wheelie bar mount to the Pro.
We might have to do that a little bit later. With the Traxxas transmission, it is, as far as I know, if you get the intermediary RPM mount and mount it to the back of that transmission, the Traxxas base wheelie bars slide right on. For some reason, that mount doesn't just mount on the back of the Pro line. You have to do a shim here and 2 shims here. And I don't know if we're going to have time to get into that tonight, but we definitely, I know there's a lot of guys struggling out there. And I'll tell you what, even I've put 100 of them together, and it's a pain in the butt. I mean, I hate doing it. So yeah, show them really quick what they mean. If you could zoom in here. As you can see, even with the RPM tranny and the the Proline tranny and the RPM mount and the RCRI bars here, we still had flex in it. So we made some custom little aluminum pieces. All our cars have them to really stand. This is something you can, get an old bracket from, whatever. Does it add a little weight? Yeah, but it's aluminum, and man, it's just rigid. This is like just, if you were to grab the chassis with both hands, you'd have no movement because it's a double deck chassis. Well, the chassis to the wheelie bar is that stiff too. I have no flex in these cars. So, but right here and all the little mount points, and I have actually a list of things. I got to do this. I got to shave that down. I got to drill that out. Add 2 of these here. Add 2 of those there. And I have it all worked out. So we will go over this, guys. But there are some shims and stuff in here that if you don't put in and get just right, your bar will come out sideways. Now, a good way, if you don't mind me taking your car here for a second.
Are you sure it's mine?
This one is your car. You paid me cash. So what I like to do is once you get it all on there, before you even think of adjusting the height, you got to make sure that wheelie bar is shooting almost perfectly straight out the back of the car. And what I do is I look right down from the front of the chassis and I catch my eye down something I know is straight, like this part of the chassis right here. And then I correlate that on both sides with the wheelie bar. And if you get the camera right down here, okay, you can see, you can almost follow it and see, when it's off an 1/8 inch here, it's off 3/4 of an inch here, and you'll really see it. And you know what? The funny thing is if it's off, even if it's off a lot, when your car's in the ground, you don't notice it with the bodies on until you really look at the car like that. You go, oh crap, that thing's over a 1/2 inch. So if you don't know if you have that problem or not, guys, look at your cars. Make sure your wheelie bar is straight, because that has a lot to do with a lot of the setup techniques with the wheelie bars that we'll get into too. So here's your car back. Thank you very much. And let's tell us what is this one thing that Dan got rid of $600 worth of transmission for us and went with Prolines 1.5 years ago. Why did he do that? Show us.
These those.
So the differential in the Traxxas and the Proline are both the same, that they are open diffs. They're one leg gear diffs. Okay, there's 2 ways to achieve this with 2 final drives out either side.
Now.
Huh? Oh wow,
28. Wow.
There's 2 ways to achieve a double drive, a double opposing drive with a 1 leg differential. That is with straight cut gears. If you look in here, hold on a minute. You push this all in. There we go. If you look in here, the gears that are in there that go around the 2 gears on the outside, I know you Traxxas guys know exactly what I'm talking about. These are called the planetaries. So that's what kind of cut gear it is, okay? And the planetary is a straight cut gear. And yes, there's a plethora of aftermarket stuff for the Traxxas transmissions, and you can always make something tougher. There's somebody makes something for it, except for that gear, okay? This set of gears, the only replacement is the $4 pot metal ones from Traxxas, and that's what, so I'd launch and 5 feet out, and it would go clack, 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 clack. I'm like, oh man, there's another diff. These planetary gears are really crappy. So the one thing that really caught my eye with the Proline was, Randy, or Ricky, this has, anybody who's ever had an 8-scale car and with really, really big, beefy differentials, these are called bevel cut, okay? And these bevel cut gears not only are made of a better gear quality, but the whole differential internally is bigger and stronger. Everything's bigger. The pins are bigger. And here's another thing. If a lot of people know that we take this diff and take all the internals out and buy an HR diff housing, because it has O-rings and you can take the grease out and slow that 1-legger action down with we use 125,000, okay? And what that does is it almost makes that 1-legger with fluid in it, the thick fluid, act like a posi. If you go anything higher than about 125, 150, you might as well run a locker. And on no prep, I'm telling you guys, don't waste your money on a locker. You don't want to. Okay, so the associated one is O-ringed.
It's a paper gasket.
Okay, so it is sealed. But what I'm getting at is the Traxxas stock transmission is not sealed. So even if you didn't want to put any money into this, but you wanted to run diff fluid, you got to change the diff housing because it's not sealed. It'll all leak out, and then you'll really slow your car down. So the cool thing about the Proline is the stock differential with all the tougher stuff inside has a little baby O-ring right there. And you got to really, really, really watch that O-ring when you put it back together, that it hasn't jumped up on the gear or anything when you're putting it back together. But you can literally buy, what are they at Jake's? The diff fluid, $5.
I think it's
maybe
$10
9.
for the. Big,
So you can
the
pay
big tube.
$86 for this, and pay $10
I think it's $10 for big tube.
for a big tube of diff fluid. Take your stock diff apart, wipe the grease out, put the fluid in, button it all back up, and you're ready to rip. I mean, this tranny. I mean, I've put some pretty gnarly stuff behind this tranny, and I can't kill one. So to recap, the wheelie bar, whether it's aluminum or it is RPM, it's a little bit harder on this one. This has a metal motor mount. This has a tougher differential set of gears inside with a sealed diff. The top gear, where the guys in the Traxxas break the pins, this is all solid. The gear and the shaft are all one piece. It's CNC machine, so you can't break it. So, and that's kind of, those things right there will win a race. I mean, if I go out and I call somebody out, or we pull chips on my list here at home, and I go to pop the throttle, and I'm going to do just an explosive hit, and boom, I hit the throttle, and the diff pops. I mean, I'm not willing to lose a race to that. So that's why I go with the Proline tranny. So why don't you tell us
Also
some of
one
this
piece.
one piece? There you go, Associated guys. You guys know that your top shaft is the best way to have it, man. Is one piece. Unfortunately, right now, I wanted to get. I have a plethora of parts for this because I've kept them for like 2 years because I never break anything in it. Every month or so, I'll tear it apart and maybe change some bearings in it, and the ones that don't feel as good, and re-grease it, and I put it back together. So I have these parts left over, and I don't have a top shaft, and so I try to get a hold of one. And for some reason, Proline has discontinued the package with the top shaft and the slipper clutch plates and the discs, and you can buy the discs and the spur gears, but you can't buy that anymore. I guess they're figuring why make all that packaging and stuff when we could just buy a new tranny for $86. Me personally, I know that sucks for some guys. Me personally, I'll just buy another tranny, but it does suck. I hope they bring it back because Proline's really hit the nail on the head here. And if you're running something else, guys, other than this, get a hold of me if you have some questions. Maybe I can help you figure it out so I can pass that on to other people. But as far as anything other than Traxxas, transmission, Proline, and Associated, I don't have anything to base it off of other than the old Stealth trannies and my RC10 buggy. So talk to us, Randy.
All you guys know, all the Associated guys know that that's the weak point right here. The idler gear. It's plastic.
Do they make a metal one for it?
Oh, Associated doesn't, but you can get ones. This one's a Robinson Racing. This is the other one, and it's a hardened steel gear. I think there might be some aluminum ones floating around too. Some hard anodized aluminum. I went to Robinson Racing just because it was easy, and it wasn't that expensive. I think it was $13.99.
That's worth it, dude, because I'll tell you what, you go put a 5.5 or a 4.5 behind one of those, it might not happen. I mean, you ran one for a long time and got lucky, though. You got lucky.
I wouldn't say a long time. That was the first one, I think maybe half a season I got out of it before it started making weird clicky noises rolling down the track.
You don't want to lose a race to an idler gear, though.
But that wheel strip out, I've stripped it out with not even high power.
So compared to the Proline, with some of the stuff that makes it superior over the Traxxas, what are some of those things that this thing has to other than the idler gear? And what do you want to see in your Associated chassis?
One-piece top shaft. I had to upgrade the idler gear to make it metal like the Proline comes, which is pretty cool. I run a plastic diff gear because that's all I can get at the time. Currently, I don't think there's any support.
Why don't you run that one?
This one, hot racing diff, I don't recommend it because the gear mesh for the gears you can buy, the spider gear set you can buy, I had a lot of problems. I blew up a brand new gear set and was pissed off, ready to throw it away until I started messing with it and actually looking at it and packed it full of grease so I could tell what was going on, put it back together, come apart. They were touching on just the tips of the gears, so it just blew it up instantly. Wow. So I decked the case myself with 220 grit sandpaper, a little bit of 3-in-1 oil, and just sitting there on a flat surface, just grinding that sucker down
to keep it flat.
To keep it flat, and
twisting it probably.
Yeah, just turning it, quarter turn, third turn, whatever. Just kept working it so I can get the deck down to where the two halves would mate together, and I'd get a full gear mesh on the gears. So it would actually hold together. I have not ran it since because this is my old transmission out of my SC10, which was the older version.
Who makes that metal diff?
This is Hot Racing.
And is Hot Racing the only one that makes one, even if the dip is plastic, that the gear is metal at least, like ours?
Yeah. I don't know of any other one that makes a
Okay,
metal
so
gear.
Associated guys, that might be something you want to, I mean, I don't know. I'm not, they're the ones running their company and stuff, but from the drag racing world, you're talking to the biggest
but
Associated.
then again, I don't know about the new DR10. I have no idea what's inside that transmission.
You're right, and they might have already fixed it, and I hope they did.
They could.
That's why when I said Jake, I still want that DR10 when you get it. Okay, I'm first on the list. I created the list. I think so. He's like, I don't, because I called him and I'm like, do you have a list for the DR10? I want one. And he's like, no, but I guess I do now.
I just want to take the transmission apart and see what they got.
Okay,
going
so
on.
when I get mine, before we even run it, Randy here wants to dissect it. So, and I'm okay with that. Let's see what's in the sucker.
I mean, they're both really similar. They're definitely different, but they're both similar. I mean, the cases.
Would you say that one of the reasons why you're
10
being
Pro SC10 versus the SC10? This is B5. This is B4 based.
before what?
Before what?
Before the
Before
B5.
five.
I got
Before the
I got a
B5.
good question. Is the reason why you can lean on it with the same electronics we're running and have it hold up like you have it? Do you think it's because of Associated's quality in plastics?
I do. I've
Okay.
always had an Associate. I started out with a gold pan.
I love
That's the first thing
Associated cars. I own 10 of them. I mean, they're
And
awesome.
I sold it regrettably in high school when I was young and dumb and wanted to do other things than play with RC cars.
Yeah.
Would play with other things instead. So cars and whatnot. And so I got rid of everything and I bought another one and made it pretty much similar to what I had. And I'll probably never get rid of it. I have like 10 gold pans now that I've ended up collecting. I don't know
Gold
how.
pans are awesome. Don't make me pull my green pan out.
So Robert just said,
Let's get some questions in.
I'm
We've
gonna,
been.
I'm going to interrupt Randy's Associated. He said for the Pro Line transmission, you can use the Traxxas top shaft and the Traxxas spur gear. You're eliminating the purpose of the Pro Line because you're still going to be running these spring pins that are in here that break.
Yeah. You can. You're right. And you know what he does? He brings up a good point in the fact that that's how similar the ProLine says, we don't want to change their design. We just want to make it better. And I think that's what they did. They knew that the top shaft pin. So you have your pinion on your motor and your spur that turns it. And then that spur goes onto your top shaft that goes in the transmission for the guys that don't know. That top shaft has a pin in it. And the first gear inside the transmission, the gear slips over that pin. Well, you put so much power to it, and that first gear in the transmission will break and shear that pin, thus rendering you having to replace your transmission parts, okay? And they've eliminated that with this because they took one solid chunk of steel and used a 5-axis CNC machine and made it all one solid piece, so you have no moving parts. You have no pins. It just won't break. So that's a huge point. Yes, you're right. Whoever that was, you're right. It does fit, but like Ricky said, that's kind of defeating the purpose. I mean, there's other good things about this over than the Traxxas, but that's one of the biggies, especially for the guys who have one piece. So
no extra parts.
now what transmissions do you have here? I'm not saying what vehicles, but are these the stand-ups? Are these the laybacks or the laydowns?
This is all pre-stand-up layback, I believe.
Tell them what the difference is between the three, because they make three.
The stand-up and the layback, or the lay down and the layback, I don't know that there's that much of a difference in the way, because I've seen some, I'm like, is that a layback, a lay down, stand-up? I don't know.
Okay.
Because I do have a B6 and a B6.1,
Okay.
and
Now, if anybody's out there and I'm wrong, correct me on this, because I love Associated. I'm an Associated guy.
but this style is definitely stand-up.
Okay, so what that means is it's still the transmission. Let's say my hand is the transmission case, okay? It has a slight curve to it so that when the motor plate is here and you bolt the motor in, the tranny kind of wraps around the motor a little bit. Then I think Associated's first attempt before they got to the lay down transmission was the lay back, where they took it all and they kind of went like that a little bit. Okay,
Yeah,
they laid it back.
Yeah.
Now what they've done with the third type of transmission, like I have in my B6 and stuff like that, is a complete lay down transmission where they've done this with it,
Yeah,
and it's all straight.
gear,
and it's,
gear.
It's really slick. It's low center of gravity. And I do like that about the Associated stuff, and I can't wait to tinker around with my DR10 a little bit. It's gonna be fun. So.
Spur and pinion, we run 48 pitch.
48 pitch, can you go with Mod 1 or something like that? Now, I heard somebody today posted, what is the advantage of going with 32 pitch or Mod 1? Well, the advantage is you're very, very not light, unless you're way off and you're drunk when you're doing your mesh, it's going to be almost impossible to break the teeth on the gears, okay? Because they're bigger gears. Every now and then, we will get a little tiny rock in between some of the spur gears, and it will weaken some of the teeth, and you don't know it, and you get right there on the pinion on the motor when you go to do a hit, and boom, it strips it out. So the 48 pitch ones, they do. That's why we inspect them. If this thing looks at me funny at all before I put my car down, especially for a list race, I'm changing that dude out. I got 10 more of them. I'm ready to rock.
Yeah,
so
you can definitely see the wear in the gears when you get an old gear on there.
always keep spare gears with you guys. Always have whatever pinion gear you finally really want to run the car with, plus a backup in case a rock chews it up. This spur gear here, the big plastic one, get 2 or 3 of those. It's going to be $50 with the clutch pads and everything, but it's worth it to have that part. Other than that, as far as spare parts at race day inside the tranny, unless you run it into a brick wall at 60 miles an hour, which we actually saw recently, which was horrible for Tim, where the transmission broke in half. But I mean, like I said, he crashed the car. But other than that, I've never had a problem with one. So
I'm going to give away one of my little speed secrets, and I don't know
what do you want?
1.5.
If you can really tell the difference or not. I don't know. Dan, can you tell the difference in spur gears?
Yeah, so I want to say that, let me see this for a sec. Oh, other than the fact that the ridge on the outside, I'd have to say that because the ridge is so thick right here that it's an associated gear.
So
what? Associated gear on a Pro Line?
when you buy the Pro Line gear, you're buying the gear, I think they're $8.99, and then the clutch pads are another $11.99.
And that's the thing. I don't know what Pro Line's making these. I don't know if they're Moonrock or Diamond or what, but $11 or $12 for the clutch pads, the little tiny discs or the clutch discs are more expensive than the gear. I mean, that's.
So what I did is I went to an 87 tooth B4, I believe it is. If Jake's watching, he can probably correct me, with axial slipper pads.
You just got to trim the slipper pads to
You
fit.
trim the slipper pads to fit. It's a much smoother.
And again, you might have better quality of plastic being from Associated.
I've noticed with the Pro Line spur gear, they're not necessarily perfectly round.
I think that's anybody. Because I run Kimbro, I think it is.
I have something to say about this.
And I think they're all...
And what he means by not perfectly round is that if you take something that's round, that hole, if you're going to spin it in precision, needs to be exactly in the center, because it's not. I'm not talking about gear wobble. I'm talking about not centered. The hole in the middle isn't centered. And I've had that problem with putting a couple. If you guys are having that problem, try resetting it. I've had the gears where I'm like, what the hell is that? And then I took it all apart, or I backed the nut off and I reset the parts, and I did it, and it did it again, and I did it again, and by the 3rd or 4th time, boom, it was perfect. So there is, I will say, there is a tolerance problem somewhere in the Pro Line spur gears. But it's not that bad, and if you fool with it and you take some precision and say it's not an old RC10 where you could just look at your buddy while you're drinking a beer and put those 2 screws right there because that's the only place they go. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that. You have to take some quality up close care with when you're putting this assembly together right here. But the transmission is what we want. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This transmission has just been killer for us, right, Ricky?
Yeah. I've noticed when I set my motor and I get my pinion perfectly aligned on this side, I'll roll it, and boom, it gets tight. And then it feels like it's binding up. So then I back it off, and I've stripped spur gears on a pass.
So you know what I do with that? Is I go around and I go, okay, it's tight. Okay, it loosened up a little bit, okay? And what I'll do is I'll set my gear mesh to the loose side of it, so when it comes around, it's only getting tight for 10 to 30% of the gear. And then it will eventually, after a pass or two, it will wear that gear into where the gear mesh is all the same all the way around. So little tiny things. They're little things that you can overlook while you're putting something together. You think, oh, it's a traction transmission. It's no big deal. Dude, you can miss something little. Don't lose a race, guys, for missing something little, okay? Really pay attention to your builds. I know a lot of you guys are already doing that, or you're doing that to your best of your ability, but really, really, really pay attention to some of the stuff when you're putting it together. So is there anything else you want to add about this?
The Pro SC10, I've ran the stock. I keep running the stock gear diff case because that's all that's available that I can find. HR Racing might have one, but I don't want to go through the same problem I did with the one for the SC10. I don't want to go through the same issues having to deck it or putting a full gear set in it and it blowing up, then having to spend $15-20 on just the gears for inside. The gears inside are metal, but if they're not fully meshed, the teeth are just barely, just like the spur and pinion, if they're barely hitting, it's going to strip them out, blow them up. It's going to be, bad news bears. I have had one where the teeth have actually started to come apart. Only one, and I've been beating on them for since I've been doing the no prep, and they've been holding together pretty well. The 125 gear weight oil, somebody asked earlier, seems to be the best. It seems to be the happy medium between wide open and fully locked up. It gives you a little bit of both. Gives you like a limited slip posi, I guess you would say, and it's seems to be the golden ticket.
Hey. Keep it going.
Dan's not ready, so I gotta keep talking. No. When I did build the Pro SC10 transmission, I went with aluminum B5 top shaft just because it's lighter, and I wanted to try to lighten it up, get a little more to get it to spin a little bit faster. The steel idler is probably going to set you back with a little bit more weight, but that's why I went with the aluminum top shaft to try to lighten it up. The other one, I ended up buying 3 or 4 of these SC10 transmissions on eBay one time for $20, and the guy's like, race them? I don't know. I just pull them and replace them. So I bought all of them, and I took them apart, and it was all the idler gears that were blown up. Everything else was perfect condition. So when I was running my SC10, I actually had a handful of brand new transmissions. Just replaced the idler gears until I also went with a hardened idler gear in my SC10. It's actually in the SC10. I turned back into a short course truck, but I wasn't going to pull it out of the truck, so I just brought one I had. No big deal.
So what do we want to see? Excuse me. What do we want to see from Associated? We want to see, hopefully the DR10 is what?
Hopefully the DR10 has a metal idler gear and something harder for a diff gear, whether it be metal or just a super hard plastic. I'd even be nice. I mean,
I personally would like to see all metal gears.
Oh, so would I.
Plastic dip is okay if they can do what Proline did with infusing the metal gear.
Yeah, embedding
with
the plastic into the gear itself, with the actual gear itself in with the plastic center housing. That'd be cool. I know on some of them, I built this one. I think it's aluminum idler shaft, just because it was hard to find parts because some of the parts were sold out. I think that's because partially to do with the Associated catching on pretty quick and pretty hard with the no prep scene, and then the DR10 rolling out. So hopefully Associated will be able to catch up on parts. Hopefully everybody will, because right now everybody's having a problem getting parts. I don't know. I mean, I don't see any time in the near future switching over either. I'm really happy with my Associated stuff. I'm gonna keep running them, and hopefully somebody will catch on and make a metal diff gear housing, because the internals are metal. It'd be pretty sweet, guys.
Hey, let's see if there's any transmission questions, because we're gonna really turn the tables here in a second.
An RTR SC10 transmission will hold up for a little bit, but it's going to have a plastic idler gear in there, and that's going to be the weak point. That's I've always found that's the weakest point in.
So would you say it would work fine, but just spend $13 and get the other gear?
It will work fine for how long? Don't know, but it will work fine. Definitely spend a couple bucks more and buy a metal one. I mean, that's hands down best money you're going to spend right there, because then that transmission will probably hold together for you without any issues, and they're not really hard to get out. So it's just a little bit of wrench time to pop the sucker out and get a good hard gear popped in there that you're not going to blow up.
So is the transmission he was talking about one of these same thing?
This is the SC10. This is the one he was talking about.
Okay.
This is the Pro SC10 of the new car, and the DR10 actually runs that transmission.
And this has the metal diff in it?
No. Well, the internal gears are metal. This has the metal diff.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Because that one's not turning at all.
Yeah, that's because that thing's brand new.
This thing's turning fine.
That thing's not brand new. That's
we'll make that one not brand new anymore.
That's an old beat up bag over there. That one's brand new.
Yeah, but I mean, you have a locker right now. Did you? Oh, no, maybe not.
No, you just gotta work it. It's
Damn.
cold. It's cold. Cold.
Yeah. Not
cold
like
goo.
that, though. Feel it.
Gotta warm it up.
It's cold.
He's got
Okay.
fluid in it.
I packed that sucker too.
You gotta be a generator to microwave.
Yeah.
So, Associated guys, you might have to use a microwave to heat the tranny up. Okay, is there any other questions about transmissions, guys? As far as gear ratios on your motor, I can't say this enough, man. Every car, this is one of the many things in the cars that we can't tell you about I mean, if you got a hold of me and you told me your exact setup and, you know, some of the boosts you're running and stuff, I can give you a ballpark. But, man, support, like local guys go to Jake's, support your local hobby shop. Opinions are $4 to $7 a piece. Go spend $30 or $40 and you know, take the one that you think you're at and buy 2 or 3 this way and 2 or 3 this way so that you have a set of pinions and you can go
buy a set.
You can. There are Rude Dog actually is some of the aluminum pinions that I'm running right now. And I like the aluminum ones because they're lightweight. I don't have to worry about them getting screwed up in dirt or whatever because I run steel ones for off-road. But the Road Dog ones, I think I paid $19.99 for 6 pinions. And that was like evens. So it was 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, and 28. And then the other set that I bought for $19.99 or whatever it was the odds. It was 19, 21, 23, 25. And then I spent $10 on a little pinion caddy. Now, granted, I already have hundreds of pinions, but I wanted a new set for my sprint car. And this is why I'm bringing it up, because I recently just did this. So I have a nice little pinion caddy with 12 brand new pinions on it. They're aluminum, lightweight, high precision racing pinions. I think I paid $48. So it's not bad, dude. Go get the gears and figure the gear issue out. If I could give you one tip, start always with a lower gear than you think you should be. Test the car. If it feels like it's going really fast and then kind of topping out, well, then go up a tooth and go up a tooth. All the while checking the heat on the motor. Make sure you're not, overheating your motor. I don't want anybody out there, "Hey, I ran my car 9 times with 3 different pinions, and I, just like you said, and I overheated it." I didn't tell you to go overheat your car, okay? I'm just, just a disclaimer.
And for the axle, guys asking which axles for the Associated, I run the stock, what are they, CVDs? It's the CV on the outside, the dog bone on the inside. And they seem to hold up. I did buy piano wire when I was running the SC tanks. I did spin a couple of the pins and break them in the old car. Nice. So I bought piano wire in the same diameter and cut them down and replaced the CV pin inside and the pin on the outside for the hexes. And I do that currently on my current car just because I know it was strong on the old car, so I know it's going to be strong on the new car.
Yeah.
So go with what works and what's strong.
And you're also working with a steel dog bone.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, now listen, there's a lot of axles out there that'll fit Traxxas cars. I see a lot of guys running the MIPS and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, they're super strong axles. They're stronger than the one I run. They're super nice axles. They're also really freaking expensive, and they're really heavy. I had a set of CVDs, and I think one of them weighed like 98 grams. And I weighed both of the other axles, the ones that I run, and it was like 22 grams. So, I mean, they're so heavy, and you don't want, just like you want a lighter car and certain things in the car because it's a drag race car, you also don't want what? You don't want heavy axles.
Yeah. Well, fortunately with the Associated, they are fairly slim because it's a CV joint with a solid
But even being
axle.
steel, they're not really,
Yeah.
I think they're called the MIP duties, and they're awesome axles. I mean, as far as the crawlers go, or backyard bashing, or heavy duty racing with
they're
like an
big
8 scale.
for a reason because they're strong.
Yeah, they're strong. What I run is, we just went through this. I forget the part number. Traxxas about a year ago, because I wanted to run the Traxxas ones, but every time I hit the trigger, I would snap them. They're not enough there. And so Traxxas released a Rustler 4-wheel drive set of X-Duty axles. If somebody, maybe Jake's watching, he can chime in with that part number. They're $12.99 for one complete axle set. You need 2, so about $25 for the whole thing. And I have yet to break one once. So I got the lightweight and precision of this lightweight plastic axle, but now it's beefy enough to handle what I'm throwing at it.
Yeah, the Associated, the axle is actually quite opposite of the Traxxas, because Traxxas is telescoping, and the Associated is actually one-piece dog bone with the one-piece CV on the outside. They have just the CV coupler. They are not like the Traxxas. It's telescoping, so that's why the Traxxas are way heavier.
We're looking at a picture of a person, we forgot their name's car, and there's like 3 different things that they've gotten off our page from it. I'm like, okay, cool. It works, right? It works. As long as you can say it works. I don't care where you say you got it from. So, anyway.
4-gear versus 3-gear AE cars. Jason, I can't answer that because I've only ran 3 gears, so I don't know anything about that fourth fancy gear.
I will say this, though. Anytime that you can eliminate, again, like the axles, weight in the rotating mass, complexity. Especially speaking from the real race car world, there's something to be said about simplicity. The most simple you can make something in a race car to achieve the final end goal, the better and faster it's going to be. So if you have a fourth gear in there instead of three, I don't know. I'd have to do some testing like Randy said, but I would think that probably wouldn't be the right route due to the fact that now you're adding another gear for the motor to turn. So, I mean, I'd be running direct drive if we could, but those aren't the rules. So, yeah, stick with the 3 gear if you can. Is there any other questions about transmissions? I'm hoping did I order, or did Randy answer some of the Associated Guys stuff? Because that was important to me that the Associated Guys got some insight.
Yeah, I answered some questions about some axles, motor direction. The right way?
Yeah. So the only time I've ever seen somebody have to worry about motor direction is where they have a rear motor, which means right side motor plate with the motor that's supposed to go in the back. And what they do, so let's say this is the transmission case and this is where the motor goes, okay? What they do is they just take that same tranny and they flip it around this way without adding the fourth gear. That's where the fourth gear comes in, is to flip the transmission around without moving the motor plate to the other side and without having to reverse rotate the motor, okay? And as far as my experience has been, there's 2 ways you can reverse the motor. Any of the speed controls that I know we're using, I'm sure Tekin does, Hobbywing does, other stuff like that. There's a setting in your tuner that says reverse motor rotation or normal motor rotation. So you can reverse it right there. If you have an older or a smaller speed control, because that's all you can afford, I guarantee you there's going to be some way where you can take any 2 of the 3 wires and swap them and then reverse the channel on your radio and reset the endpoints on the speed control to find neutral, and you should be golden. That reverses the rotation of the motor.
Christian, I can't pronounce your last name. I won't slaughter it. He says,
I like how you put that.
says it's for motor direction. All right, cool. Thank you. That makes sense. That, like you were saying, for motor direction.
For motor direction.
And sends grip.
So when I was building RC10s, and back in the late 80s, early 90s, and we were catching on to the mid-engine stuff for buggies and stuff, instead of doing this, what we did was we turned the tranny around and we went like this with the motor plate and then cut the back RC10 tab off. So that kept it the same, because all the spur gear is still spinning the same. Instead of the pinion here, you have the pinion here. So it's not reversing it or anything. So I mean, that's the only other way you could do it. I mean, it's geometry. It's so I would have to assume that the 4-gear transmission came out of a mid-motor car.
I think
that
was the first version, the B5, the B5M.
They didn't know how to do that, or they didn't
SC5M.
think about. They're like, oh, just throw another gear in it. I don't know. So maybe in what they were projecting out, the kind of racing they were doing, they were getting more torque, and it was helping the spec class out or the mod class out that they were doing it that way. I don't know, but Associated did it, and if Associated did it, there was a reason for it. So, is there any other questions?
Sam Spinelli says pick a winner for all your guys' old parts.
Yeah. They want us to raffle off our old parts.
Well, there's some stuff I can't do, you guys, and I've said that since day one. I get stuff, the stuff that I do get at a discount from some of the guys that back me. That is my stuff, and that stays with me. The stuff that you've seen me in the last year and a half sell, like the couple chassis I've sold, and a couple motors, that stuff was all purchased with my own money, had no sponsorship. So as far as stuff that comes off my car, I mean, I think I've, out of 2.5, 3 years, I've had 2 wrecks. So, I mean, I don't have a whole lot of stuff that I get rid of. I buy what I need. I buy a backup for it. And if I'm with one of my buddies and Ricky says, dude, I don't have one of these, well, I'm here. And I'd give it to him. But then the end of that race day, I go and I buy another one, boom, to replace it. And that's it. So, because if you do anything more than that...
That scared the shit out of me.
But anyway, I can keep going. Is there any other transmission problems? Or, yeah, I don't know.
Will a motor run just as fast in reverse in both directions?
A brushless motor should, especially if you're using a tuner option to do it and you're just telling the speed control to run it in reverse. Absolutely. There shouldn't be. Now, granted, with brushed motors, and you just change the polarity, it was a brushed motor, and with 2 brushes and a commutator on an armature, there's all kinds of variables. So where you'd have
Brushes
normal
would wear one
polarity,
way.
yeah, you'd have normal polarity, and whatever timing was in the end belt, and you'd get a wah, and then you reverse the polarity, and in reverse rotation, the motor would go wah. It would go. You could hear it, going a little faster. The brushless stuff, I think, would be all my stuff runs regular rotation. So my My real answer to that is I 110% believe myself that if you reverse it with the speed control, that there won't be any loss in power. So, Emma, do you have any questions?
No.
I like turtles.
Giraffe.
What direction is better? Whichever direction sends you forward.
Yeah, whatever direction sends you forward. If you want to try some, now obviously somebody who would have something that they'd have to reverse the polarity on is going to be a custom build, or it's going to be something that's not mainstream like what we've covered up here. And if you're down with that, cool, go do it. Go do your own thing.
The Traxxas guys, there's some chassis companies. They're selling mid-motor stuff for Traxxas, and I see they're just
spun around. So you have to because you've changed the direction of everything. So
I haven't seen one run yet, so I don't know how. I don't know.
I think that started with they made a Traxxas sprint car conversion for a Bandit, and it was supposed to be able to be like a.
Battery is low.
Battery is low.
But anyway, it was
Good
like
to know.
a Bandit-based sprint car to run a spec class instead of having to buy a Custom Works or something like that. So I don't know how they run. I'm sure with Dirt Oval they ran fine. But as far as drag racing, I don't know. We haven't played with those. So.
Sam says that pink Mustang is way better than your guys' cars.
Oh, dude, that thing's just evil. 12 turn side point hoop and how. This is Noe's car. So we were talking about the new class, the junior rookie class we're going to do, guys, where
The
you have to have
unicorn car.
a Traxxas.
Oh my god, there's a Barbie in it?
Yeah, it has a Barbie in it.
She
We're going to
wanted
do,
a
Emma, are you
Barbie.
doing that to your car now?
It's Kelly.
Put Jojo Siwa on it.
She wanted a Barbie in there.
So this is a class where it's Nprc rules for the car, other than the fact that you have to have a 12-turn motor, brushed motor, and the Traxxas speed control that goes with it. We've gone over it in the last episode. And for all the guys that have been asking me, I'm going to do it. And the next week, me and Randy or Ricky or whoever is going to put these videos all together on YouTube so that people can watch them all over the world, okay? And, yeah. Any other questions? Oh, and I want to say, hey, what's up, Sam Spinelli?
Yes.
Yes, Sam Spinelli. I talked to him a couple last days on the internet. Really down to earth guy. And I just want to say what's up, Sam. And yeah, what's up?
He's been asking a couple questions.
Good. I want people to ask questions. That's what this is about.
So I don't know which number their axle is. Somebody says a 68.
6852X.
Okay, so 6852X is the axle that I'm talking about, guys.
They are gray in color.
They are gray. The ones I have are black because it was their first run, but I do believe that they have changed them to it's still a dark graphite
Silverish
gray.
gray.
Yeah. This car has them. These are they look just like stock Traxxas axles, but if I went over there right now and I dug up some old Traxxas Slash ones or something, they are definitely much bigger and beefier. Now, when you buy these guys, remember that you buy the rears, because the rears in the front, other than one little thing on the front ones that won't make them for the rear where you need them, they're really easy to get mixed up. Same with any Traxxas axle. So make sure when you're going to your local hobby shop and buying them, or if you don't have one, you order them online. Make sure that you get the rear axles because the front ones won't work. So
I have stock Traxxas.
but that's okay. And here's another thing: is some of these little things that we put on our cars because we really lean on them, the kids don't need. You can go down to Jake's Performance Hobbies, pay $99 and get a slider Traxxas Slash chassis, $40 for a motor and speed control, plus your body, wheels, and tires, and boom, you're into the junior rookie class, and you're learning. So whether you're a 7-year-old little girl or you're a 17-year-old kid or a 30-year-old girl, I mean, if you want to get into this and you've never driven an RC car, then this is the class for you. And I guarantee you, within 2 or 3 months, if you hammer down and do this, you're gonna be like, dude.
Hunter says it's a 6852A.
Okay, so there you go.
And Hunter works at Jake's.
Who said the other one?
There was 2 people.
Okay. Hunter has probably sold me all of my axles at my local hobby shop, Jake's Performance Hobbies, Roanoke Park, California, 707-586-3375.
Wow.
And you can run the axles with the Bandit stuff. You just have to trim them down so they can actually have movement.
Good point. I forgot to bring that up. If you're running the Bandit, now if you have the slash arms in the rear, you're fine. Just put them in, okay? But if you have the Bandit arms, all our cars run
Bless you.
God bless you. All our cars run a slash full wide width front end, and we do the narrow Bandits with the wide wheels in the back. So if you have a Bandit rear arm, you're going to have to take 3/8 of an inch off of each side of the axles that slide together. And after you cut them, you want to deburr them. You want to take a small little X-Acto knife and take all the melted plastic from cutting them off. And they should work fine for you. So Anything else about transmission, guys?
Nothing new.
Did anybody pop in about, yeah, we gave the Associated guys, or yeah, thanks guys, I've been trying to figure that out, or, I mean, there's, because I was relying on you to do it, Randy.
Hey, I got.
How's the green eggs and ham?
There's been thank yous and questions, so I'm sure they liked it.
Okay, well,
Because there hasn't been another question to ask more about it. So
Okay.
I'm taking that as.
If you guys do, or somebody new comes on, man, and they just tuned in, if you guys have any other any transmission questions for Randy with the Associated stuff, or me and Ricky with the Proline and Traxxas stuff, let us know. You guys ready to move on? Okay.
Good to make one.
So there's a lot of new guys getting into it.
Got a quick question.
Yeah, quick question.
James Mayo says I can't get a seal for my diff. Back order. What's good to make one? What diff are you running?
What diff?
If it's the Proline one, you might be able to source one out locally at a auto parts store, or if you have a hydraulic store.
If it's a Proline one, I'll mail some to you. I got some. But if it's a Traxxas one, or an HR transmission for a Traxxas, the diff case, I can't help you. Associated, I think you could probably go to an auto parts store. If you
Associated, it's a paper gasket.
If you have the old one, a lot of times I work with a lot of equipment at work that I can't get gaskets for because they're really old, but I got to keep them going. Because the city council won't approve a new budget for a new one.
HPI Firestorm. Ooh, I have no idea.
I have no idea. Is that paper? Is it an O-ring? Is it
Metal Gear? If it's an O-ring, I would shoot for a hydraulic store.
Yeah, hydraulic store. Yeah,
because fittings are. I work in on industrial equipment, so you get hydraulic fittings that have Boss O-ring. You got JIC. There's O-rings everywhere in hydraulic stuff.
Yeah,
for pressure to keep.
I deal with JCI fittings, or JIC fittings all the time. A lot of the O-rings I get through my work because it's cheaper. I mean, I can get 40 O-rings for $4.
Yeah, but a hydraulic store would be probably your best bet to find a small, weird little O-ring. If not, I'm sure they can order it because they have suppliers that they get their O-rings from that they get.
And if it's a paper gasket and you still have most of the old one
to trace it,
you can go to an auto parts store or something like that and get yourself some really, really, really thin gasket material in a roll and lay it out. And I like to pin it on a piece of wood like a cutting board, and then I put it on there and I trace it out and I take it and I cut it and I make the holes with the hole punch if you have one.
Or if it's like the metal HR diff and you have the diff, what I've done in a pinch when I don't have enough gasket to make one,
put it down and trace it. Yeah,
put some grease on there, just a quick stamp, and you got an outline of what you need.
Outline it. Yeah, absolutely. Good little trick there. So let's do this. We're gonna, if there's no more transmissions things, let's move on. I don't know what time it is, but it's probably already eaten up a lot of time. Again, I'd like to give right before we get into the next segment, a shout out to Troy at Phantom. He's been really good to us. He's a really good guy. They got a great company going. So if you don't have any Phantom products and you're thinking about looking for a battery or a motor and you want to buy something right off the bat and not have to guess and buy something fast, go on to Phantom's Facebook page or their webpage and get something.
Tony, I'm not even going to try to butcher your name either. He must have found more beer because he has a question for Daniel Judd.
Yeah.
Did Epstein kill himself? Asking for a friend.
No, he didn't. He didn't. And I know nothing about it because I don't want to get Clintoned. Okay? I don't know anything about it. I'm just saying I know he didn't die.
I don't want to wake up dead tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, sleep with the gun safe open. So anyway, I want to give a shout out to Steve again at RCRI. You guys want to see some cool chassis, man. They won't break the bank, and they're just the highest of quality. Go see some RCRI. RC Racing Innovations. They have a Facebook page. They have a website. If you try, even a little bit, you'll find it. They're all over the place, and it's just really top notch stuff. So shout out to RCRI. Shout out to Hobby Wing. We love Hobby Wing products, and I love them to death. I mean, they work great. So I highly suggest if you can afford or have the means to get a Hobby Wing product, look into it. There's other good companies out there. Tekin's a great company. I've had Tekin stuff since the 80s. I know they make some pretty ripping stuff, especially their speed controls and stuff right now. And what are some other companies? Macklin R1 Works makes a great speed control.
I have a Phantom. coming.
Phantom, yeah, which is also another Phantom product. And you know, a lot of people say, well, you say stuff about their motors and their batteries. When I say anything about speed controls, because I don't run a Phantom speed control. It's not because I don't like them. It's because I was with Hobbywing first, and in my contract, that's what it says. I run Hobbywing speed control, so that's what I run, and I do good with them. I like them. So, I'm eager to see when Ricky gets one or somebody else gets one. I'd love to hear some feedback, especially for Troy. You know. But as far as the speed controls go, I run Hobbywing, and
As far as the tuning goes, I like how Hobbywing has it set up.
I do too.
It's simple,
easy,
straightforward. It's
yeah.
right there.
And if you're going to buy an XR10 Pro Legacy or a G2, they're the same thing. The only difference is, as the new one has, the G2 has reverse polarity protection, which is nice. And then it also has another port so you can plug in a remote on and off switch, so you don't have to use the one on the speed control. Other than that, they're the same ones. So if you don't care about those two things, get a Legacy, save yourself a couple bucks, and still get the same killer speed control. But no matter which one you get, if you buy an XR10 Pro, make sure you spend the extra $40 and get the Wi-Fi hotspot,
Wi-Fi Express.
the Wi-Fi Express link, and then you
Change your password.
and change your password. But then you go on to your app store and you download a free app from Hobbywing, and it works in conjunction via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, so it works really good. So let's get into the next segment here. So. For some of you newer guys that are here, you know that there's just a plethora of chargers out there. I mean, it can almost get dizzying at times how much stuff is on the market. I'm not going to knock anybody's product. I think everything's great. What you can afford is what you can afford. And whatever gets the batteries charged so you can get out there and have some fun is awesome with me. This is the charger, believe it or not, that I use most of the time. This is a very common charger setup because it has...
Dual ports.
It's dual ports. You can charge 2 batteries at once. I got this at Jake's Performance Hobbies. I think it was $99. I'm sure this is probably a year and a half old, 2 years old, so I'm sure they have a newer model of this. Maybe they don't. If they don't, this is a great charger. And then you have, you know, the other end of the spectrum, which is something like the Duo iCharger. And there's a lot of differences between these chargers, but everything that a normal guy going out and racing or backyard bashing that this thing does would need to do, you can get out of this one. The big differences is that this one will only discharge at 2 amps, which is like nothing. A battery will discharge on 2 amps for 3 days. It will only charge at a rate of 10 amps, okay? This charger, and why I have it, it's a little bit more expensive. They're about $400. And then you have to either run it off a battery, which I don't recommend, or buy a $60 or $80 or $100 power supply to run it. This hooks into 110, turns into 12 volt. This plugs into here. So this will also run my pit light. It runs fans. I can hook a discharger up to it. It is a power supply. It's like a plug in the wall for my RC equipment. So the reason why would we want to charge at 30 amps?
Get it done faster.
Okay, it does. It gets it done faster. So instead of waiting for 40 minutes for a 2S battery to charge up on this on 10 amps, which for your average everyday guy, that's not a bad deal. This right here will push the battery at 30 amps. You can charge to 30 amps. I don't know if that's the max, but that's, you know, I'm not going any. I usually do about 20 or 25 amps. And then it also discharges at that same rate. So the reason why I don't want to discharge my batteries if I'm cycling them at 2 amps is because 2 amps, my car's not drawing 2 amps. I want to discharge my car, whether this is right or wrong, I don't know, but I want to discharge my car at as close to the amp rating as the car would pulling the trigger. So I want that battery to get used to that. So pussyfooting around with 2 amps is not going to do that for me. I need to discharge this. You want to go grab the other discharger over there? This thing, I need to discharge at 15 or 20 amps or something like that. You know, depending on the battery and how big your battery is and stuff, you have to do all the math on that yourself. And I can mimic that. So I can push this thing and get a quick charge out of it with 25 amps and then discharge it really quick like it was in the car and then charge it up again with 30 amps and then I'm ready to race. Now, why do I do that, Ricky?
More power.
Why is it more
Faster.
power?
Because it discharges faster.
Because it lowers the internal resistance of the battery, okay? When you can charge at that rate, so think of the voltage going in being charged and out when you're using it in your car. Think of that like a rubber flap, and a brand new rubber flap that has a slit in it and your electricity is going through that, okay, is the easiest way to put it. And when you're charging at 8 amps or 5 amps, you're kind of just barely being able to creep it open because the flaps are brand new and they're hard and they're solid and they're stiff rubber and they don't really want to move. Well, if I blast this thing with 30 amps, it's going to really open that port up, okay? Same thing with discharging. Well, once you cycle a battery with that kind of opening of that electricity flow, what you're doing is you're making the battery have a lower internal resistance. And that means that there's less resistance. If you don't, I don't have time to do it, but if you want an exact definition of resistance, I'm sure it's on Webster's dictionary. Resistance is when something wants to go from point A to point B and has a tough time getting there, and you want it to be a straight shot, not tough, big wires.
Drink through a straw, pinch it.
Same thing.
You got resistance.
That's resistance, okay? So, a 2.5 internal resistance per cell isn't very good. When I'm pushing my cells, that's what most people have, about a 2.1 to a 2.5 or 6, depending on the quality of the battery. My batteries, I'll get them down to a perfect battery, to really go race with and have the most power coming out of it. No matter how big or what kind the battery is, would be about a 1.0. So I usually get mine down to about 1.4, 1.5, which is pretty good compared to your average guy. So why do we charge at a high rate, discharge at a high rate? Because it really lowers the internal rate of the internal resistance of the battery. So with that being said, I don't recommend using this as a discharger all the time if you were to buy one of these. Okay, it will do that, but I would recommend either buying another separate discharger that this will run, or you can get something like I have here. This thing will take a fully charged 844 2S battery and completely discharge it down to, say, 765 for storage in about 2.5 minutes. So this thing discharges at 30 amps. So if this is all you can afford, which is fine, you can charge it, max it out, 10 amps, charge your batteries. And if you have a battery you're trying to cycle or you end up not running, put it on the discharger and discharge that sucker back down to a storage mode, okay? And this is going to suck the voltage out of the battery like as if it was in the car. So how do we know what amperage to charge the batteries at? Well, that's really easy. You might have to do a little research on your specific battery, but every battery has a charge C rating, okay? If a battery is a cheaper battery, it usually will have a 1C rating. What that means is, if I have a 5,000 milliamp pack, okay, that's how big the gas tank is, okay? And it has a 1C rating, I can only charge it at 5 amps, okay? So an amp per 1,000 milliamp, okay? If I have a 2C rating on a battery pack, and it's 5,000 milliamps, I can now charge it 10 amps, okay, twice as much, and still be safe. Is charging batteries at 25 or 30 amps a little dangerous? Yeah, but if you do it right, you have nice equipment, you won't have a problem, okay? For the guys that are scared to death of the lipos, I get it, dude. They're a ticking time bomb sometimes, especially some of the guys that run them down and poof them up. And
I still run them poofed.
There you go.
Not in the drag car, but in my beater cars.
Going by the 1C, 2C, 3C rating, so it's 5,000 milliamps and it's 3C rating, how high? How many amps can I charge?
15.
15 amps.
I've got a battery that's 5 times. It's a 5,200 milliamp battery and it's a 5C charge rate.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me?
5C, yeah.
I was like, holy cow. I've never seen one. It's an older battery, I'm sure. I've never seen one anywhere else like that.
Why don't we have Ricky dip into this? First of all, explain to us what this is for those who don't know and why we use it.
It's an ammo can. We store bullets. No.
Well, I got a lot more of them.
We keep batteries in here so they don't.
If they do go boom.
If they do go boom, you are protected.
So why don't we just take out some random packs that I have. Phantom. Buy some Phantom packs. These are starting to trickle in from the COVID-19 thing. Here's an SMC battery. I'm going to put this out front because to me they're the best batteries. For my car. Let me clear that up really quick. For what I do and for what I've tested in my car, on my time, on my road, I like the Phantoms. I am so happy that I'm sponsored by them because they are just awesome batteries, man. They really are. So keep bringing them all out. Let's get some batteries out here.
We want more. Puffy.
SMC.
I got a puffy. Yeah, I do got a little bit of
You
a
got
puffy.
puffy.
Me guys, I my batteries get a little tiny poofy, and I'll get into what that is and what that means. I get rid of them. or I will run them delicately or really watch them or keep them in an ammo can by themselves. This one, the ones that are poofy here aren't that bad. I mean, I've seen the ones that are splitting the cases apart, you know. So what do we got here? And tell us what kind of batteries we got here and what the differences are in the sizes and stuff, Ricky.
This brick is a 10,500 milliamp.
10,500 milliamp. Now, why did I want that, Ricky? And why don't I run them anymore?
Because they're heavy.
Weighs 10 pounds.
They're heavy. Well, why did I run them?
For burnouts.
Big ass gas tank, right? So
Gas
the
tank
milliamp.
lasts 2 elimination rounds.
So you guys are seeing 6,000. We got the Phantoms are 8,200.
74.
This one's 7,400 milliamps. That's how big, let's say, just to put it in layman's terms, that's how big your gas tank is, okay? So he just said this one is 10,500 milliamp. That's almost 4,000 milliamp higher than anything else I got up here, and here's why. If you have 2 cars at the end of an eliminator round, after 30 or 40 or 50 cars race and there's 2 guys left, and the last couple races, they're getting so fast that they don't have time to run back to the pit and charge, and the cars are really, really even. Well, to me, I always thought, well, the one thing I want to have over the other guy is I want to have more voltage left in my battery. So I sought out and SMC made a battery that was 10,500 milliamp. So by round 9, when I was getting down to making it on the list, because it took me 2 or 3 times to get on the list, the other guys were down to 785 in their battery, 7.85 volts, and I still had 8.14 in mine. So I almost had a fully charged pack, and they didn't. And that really, really worked. Now, why once I got on the list, did I not use that anymore?
I would say probably weight, and you're only racing a couple times.
Exactly. I didn't have to race as much. So for you guys that are high or that are, you have a big enough area that you guys have an eliminator round to make it on the list. Run that eliminator round with a lot of milliamp because you need that bigger battery. I like a high milliamp as far as, I see some guys running shorty packs, and if you can make your car work with a shorty pack, that's fine. I personally lean on my car way too hard. Any shorty pack, I've used Max Amps, I've used Trinity, I've used SMC, I've used all these batteries and the best ones they had, and I could never get... It's called a low ripple. I think we got into that when you're demanding too much power out of the battery to feed the motor, and all of a sudden the speed control goes, well, the battery looks like it's dead, but it's not. So it's accelerating. Wow. Every time I put a shorty pack in my car, that's what it does. I need more battery. So if you're up on the air, whether you want a shorty pack or you want a full-size pack, go with a full-size pack for the no prep drag racing. It's gonna end up when you start leaning on the car, you won't have that problem. Anybody that is running a shorty pack and swears by them, I'm telling you that if you when you start leaning on your card, obviously harder than you are right now, by the time you get up to spinning 65,000 RPM with a load of a car on it, you're not going to be able to. You're going to low ripple with a shorty pack. So I ran these for the eliminators. I didn't need them anymore, and then I raced what for the other seasons.
The SMC hard packs.
Now, why did I go with SMC packs?
Because they had a higher C rating, higher amps.
Why do you go with SMC packs?
I like them. They're consistent. They're really consistent. They seem to... You can... For mine, I can run my car and know how it runs every time. The battery stays the same long enough. I'm not gonna lie, for a long time I ran cheap battery packs. I paid $42 for my battery pack.
I've been at races when we first met each other, and I was helping with son. I look over at his battery and go, "Who the fuck makes that?" It says Tonka on it.
They actually did really well for me. Some people not. I mean, it's all whatever works for you. I do like my SMC packs. I did buy a brand new one when I went to Vegas. Just I wanted something that I knew was dependable.
Now, I will say this about batteries. If you guys are choosing batteries, I would totally suggest you go with Phantom. I love their batteries. Top notch, high power, big capacity, huge rating on the battery. I love the batteries. I have other batteries because I have other basher cars. Some of the race cars, like the sprint car and stuff that I power with these, will all go to Phantom too because I love their batteries and I don't think they'll ever let me down in a race. However, what you want in a race pack is you want a high C rating. Now, you have the 2C ratings. You have the charge C rating, which is the 1C, 2C that I already covered. Then you have the discharge rating. Well, this one is rated by this company at 90C. Okay, constant.
There's peak.
There's peak and there's constant, and this Trinity is rated at 100C. The Phantom is rated at 130C. So the bigger that number, the faster it's going to shoot the electricity out. So the guys that are out there and they got their LiPo auto cutoff turned off, so it's not LiPoing out, and they got a ripple pack and they're still doing that, check the C rating of your battery. If you're running a 50C or a 70C rating, battery rating, that's where you're getting a low ripple from. You've got to have a bigger C rating than that. Now, with that being said, a lot of companies, what their C rating they advertise with isn't always that, just like with the motors, okay? So if you have a pack that says 210C, like this one, says, this is only 90. Well, anyway, I had an SMC pack that said something ridiculous. It was 180C or something like that, and it turned out to be about 110C. So I think that when people...
that shorty 200C race pack?
It was. I had a little tiny, I won't name the brand, but it was a regular pack, and it was rated for 220 amp. But what that is a burst. So if you're running an off-road car and then you get to the straight and boom, you burst it and then you let off again, that's what it's for. And we are a full load, full time until you let off. And so you really want to get the most accurate rating. That's where you're going to go with the bigger brands of batteries. You're going to go with the Trinity. You're going to go with the Phantom. You're going to go with the bigger name brands of batteries, because 9 times out of 10 their C rating is right about where they're rating the battery at. So, not saying that anybody's lying or anything. I'm saying that they had this sketch and blueprint of a battery, and this is what their numbers said. But once they made it and I got it, it actually kind of wasn't that. So, if something has an astronomical C rating for discharge, it's 250 C rating for discharge. Do the math and do the homework on it, and make sure that's not a burst or a peak C rating, because that's not the constant. What you're looking for is constant C rating.
Yeah, it's like the speed controls. It'll go 1600 amps burst, but it's only 160, 120 constant.
Correct. So, again, if somebody was to say, dude, you can either have these 2 Phantom packs or all these packs, I would just say, you know what, you can take them, bro. Put them in your RC10. I'm taking my Phantoms. That's how much I love Phantom packs. These packs are awesome. These are the packs that you'll see me running in 2020 if our race season ever starts up.
In 2021, you mean?
Now, as far as connectors, what do I run on a lot of my stuff? Obviously,
EC5s.
And what I do is because the EC5 is rated for what, 200 amps?
I couldn't tell you.
160 amps, 180 amps. It's a high amp rating. And that's what we want. We want low resistance. We don't want a little tiny connector that the speed control is having problems sucking the battery juice out. Now, what we've done is we've gone like most racers. If anybody out there has raced off-road or on-road or anything and is actually a serious racer other than this no prep stuff, they will realize here's another high amp rating. Castle makes one. 250 amp. That's a damn good plug. Probably one of the best I've seen. I like the EC5s because I just like them. It's what I started using, and the amp rating's fine. I don't need anything more. And then what is the yellow ones?
XT90s.
The XT90s. So that's
what I run.
Which is the yellow ones that a lot of you guys have, and those are great connectors too.
Haven't had any fail
now,
yet.
what we've done, if you want to do the Ghost, you're gonna have to take the body off it though. If that's okay. If not, I'll go grab the Gunslinger.
Why wouldn't I take
Because they're different cars.
Why don't you go grab the Gunslinger? We'll take both of them off at the same time.
Are they different cars?
Are they, Emma? Oh, it died. Is there anything I can get you? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Do you want a snack?
No.
Okay. Okay, so what we've done is we've gone one step further and we've eliminated half the wire, because you got to think you got this much wire coming out of the battery, you got that much wire coming out of the speed control, plus you got 2 connectors you're sending the voltage through. So we've cut out the middleman. What Ricky will do is he'll put that in, and that battery will plug directly in. Look at that. It's a straight shot right into the battery. It catches the cap pack right before it gets to the board. The wires are only as long as they need to be. Mine are a little bit longer because when I put it together, I actually didn't have the chassis yet. I didn't know how long they needed to be. Oh man, those cars look just like each other. What the hell, dude?
Twinning.
Ooh, double vision.
Same receiver.
Almost same. Here, hold them up. Right there. What car you got there, Ricky?
This would be the OG Ghost.
And what do I got here, Ricky?
Gunslinger.
The Gunslinger, baby. Same chassis, same trannies, same speed control, same everything. I think yours got a...
I got a red speed control.
Okay, yeah, so that's how this actually started out as my devil car, which turned into the evil car, which is now the with the new chassis and all the new gear on it and the new body and everything. This is the gunslinger. She's born. She's been pushed out of the womb. So, and she is fast. She is just lightning. She's like a hatchet being thrown at you. And these cars are just lightning quick. So, again, they're propelled by Phantom motors. If you don't have a Phantom motor, go get a Phantom motor, guys. I know that Troy has started to get shipments in, and people are starting to get their motors, and they're just raving about them. They're like, "Oh my god, I bought a Phantom, and it's so freaking fast. I don't know what to do about it." So, it's same thing here. I'll load my battery in, and my stuff. Boom, she's ready to rock. She got no connectors. She's plugged direct drive right into the board. When I say board, I mean the hard board where the wires are soldered onto the board, meaning the speed control. But she's ready to rock. So that's another way to get rid of resistance. Another thing is, if you notice, I run a hobby wing, and I have a lot thicker wire that comes on the hobby wing. This is, what are we using, 10? 10 gauge. I'm using 10 gauge. So if anybody wants to attempt this, they're good enough solder, sorry. Some people ran into the same problem I did with the hobby wings when I first started swapping stuff around, and that was that, dude, the solder they use is you need a blowtorch to melt it for the first time. But once you melt it and you change the wires and you use a little of your solder, it's easy. But you need like a soldering iron that's at 800 or 850 degrees Fahrenheit to melt their solder the first time. So it can be done. We replaced a lot of the wire just to make it thicker. Why would we make our wire thicker? Less resistance. That's the name of the game. These are electric motors. Here's another one of the same car. So where's the ghost? Look at this. There's 3 of them.
There's actually 4.
There's 4 of them. Here, you hold this one, Randy. Randy looks naked over there. I don't even know what car I got. What car is this?
That's Chase's car.
This is Chase's car. This is Ricky Bellatti's 11-year-old son, Chase. Some people are gonna hopefully get spanked with this thing this year.
That thing's fucking...
It's got a Tekin speed control in it. You know, it rips. It really does. It rips. So I think that Ricky has figured out some stuff about the Tekin stuff and is doing stuff speed-wise and torque-wise with the Tekin stuff that other people just haven't figured out yet. So the capabilities are there if you've chosen to go Tekin. Personally, I would suggest getting a hobby wing. But, I do like the fact that the Tekins, I mean, everything in my house almost is American made. I always spend a couple extra dollars for something American made or locally built. But unfortunately, I really like the hobby wing stuff, and it comes from China or Japan or. No. But I know the Tekin stuff. I don't know if it's 100%. The pieces are 100% made here, but I know they're assembled here, and I don't know. I don't know. But I know it's not.
I would say made with foreign and domestic parts, probably.
Okay,
I think that's a slogan that's pretty popular.
And for this kind of electronics, that's about as close as you can get to being American made, and I do like that about Tekin. So, which car is it? Oh, this is my car. Yeah, I can tell. We got more. Emma,
sure?
What is this?
Are you sure you can tell?
What is that right there?
Unicorn sticker.
Well, why do we put unicorns in the car?
Because they make them fast.
Yeah, there you go, baby.
Wait.
Are we getting a mix? See, we got too many of these cars.
Unicorn. Yeah.
Unicorn power, baby.
That's what won Vegas was that horsepower.
So let's have you guys haven't been looking yet? So
this one,
is it dead?
I'm out of the question.
Why don't you go put it on the cordless charger in there?
I don't think it's cordless charging.
We got any?
No,
let's get
it's
any
not.
questions going on, or so take some close-ups of what I'm running here.
Kara, what are you referring to when you say Judd builds them? Kara and Frank Fields.
What do you mean Judd builds them? The cars?
I don't know.
Probably about the car, I would imagine.
It's not so much the recipe of parts that I've chosen, and why have I chosen those? Well, those are just the parts that you chose to buy. It doesn't mean that anything else is any better, because I didn't just buy the parts that are on my car. I bought those parts. I bought the other model that they had. I bought the other 3 competitors, 6 models of that part. I bought 2 of each one, so when I did find one, I could get rid of the rest and have a backup for what I did choose to go for. And that is all over this car, whether it's the shocks or the fluid or the springs or the arms, the axles or the hub carriers or the transmissions, or I have bought so much stuff to come up with what's in this car because it's what works. So it's not me building a car is not only the recipe. It's some people take their car and what do you do when you put a hinge pin in an arm? What's the process?
Depends on the car. The
So
Associate has a set screw.
I make sure it drops free.
You gotta make sure you got free.
Okay, so there's little things like that all over the car. I mean, I've gotten down where I can build a whole one of these cars, not tune the suspension yet. I got to do that running the car. But in one whole day, if I have everything, I can put one of these cars together. The price tag on this car is not cheap. This is about a $1,500 car, and I will put cars together for people. Am I making the chassis? No, I'm not. There are CRI chassis. Am I building? Am I molding the A-arms? No, I'm not molding the A-arms. It is my recipe. It is the $20,000 worth of experience I have and what parts to use, and those are the ones that I choose on my car. And if you come out to one of my races, you can see what the car does. You can see what Ricky's car does, and even Randy's. There's a reason why we have 2 extra trannies here because we're trying everything. And if you can have the means to do that, that's how it is in the real racing world. So what you are getting when you get my recipe and why it's built by me is that I've chosen all those parts. I've done all that homework. I've done the math. I've done the geometry. I've done the science. I've gone out and run it. I've raced it and 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 tuned it and raced it and tuned it. And that's what you're getting, a car that I can literally go, okay, it needs right here and a little bit more wedge here. And no, your camber's off a little bit. I mean, there's a certain formula that every single one of these cars have the same toe and the same everything on them because it just works. So that's what I mean by I build a car. I figured all that out. I have probably 500 hours into just tuning these chassis in the last 3 years. Like I said, I only have Emma, unfortunately, part-time. When she's at her mom's and you guys are at a movie with your kids, I'm working on the cars. When you guys are having dinner with your wives, I will grab something and go out and do something on my cars. I'll sit out here till 3 in the morning. I got nobody to complain that I'm sitting out here all night long. It's what I do. So when you get a car built by Daniel Judd, you're getting the experience. You're getting the one-time price tag of the right stuff. Once it's dialed in, it will just work, and you don't have to keep spending. How many times has somebody bought a Castle or something like that, and be like, I like this thing, works good, but it's just not fast enough. Well, now that's because you got to buy this. I've done all that, and you're talking times 800 pieces here. So that's what I mean, right? Right. You bloody well right. You got the bloody right to say.
How do I get one?
How do I get one?
Ryan Pacheco, how do I get one?
Contact me if you'd like me to build you a car. They're not for the faint of heart. I can set it up. I have a lot of different ways I can do it. To a cheaper end, to a really more expensive end, depending on how far you want to get into this. Get a hold of me. When I build a car, I don't make much, guys. I make about $75, and that's somebody buying a $1,100 or $1,200 car, So I do it because it's part of my name that's out there, and somebody's going, wow, that was built by Dan Judd. It really works really good, and that's what makes me feel good. Just like when Ricky took my car that I had put all these wins on and all my technology, and I sent him, I sold it to him. He went out to Vegas with it. I sent him out there to Vegas, and he won with it, and he came back, and he really showed me what my design did. And that's what it does, and in that, somebody said the other day, well, maybe don't act so cocky, and I don't think I'm the cockiest guy, but I have a little cockiness. I am a male, and I am into drag racing, and I think that I'm allowed to be a little cocky. I think I've done a lot of work on these cars. I put in work, I'm not OG, I'm double OG, I'm triple OG. You know what I'm saying? So, this is what works for me. If you can find something, if somebody someday can find something that's totally different that beats me, then awesome, dude. I will never, ever, ever turn down a race. I will always lock in a race. How many races, you guys, on the internet, in person, of all the hundreds of races we've gone to, how many races did you ever at where guys told me 10 times, hey, dude, let's just race? And I said, no, it's good, bro.
None.
I never turn down a race. I will race you. I don't care if I win or not. I want to race. Let's race. So let's get back to the batteries. Is there anything else on the batteries or chargers, or is there anybody got a question with maybe a certain product that we know about before they pull the trigger and buy something? Phantom batteries available at your local Walmart. No, not really. You can't get these at Walmart. Just don't even go in there and ask, because you'll look like a complete clown. They'll be like, Phantom batteries? But yeah, Phantom webpage or internet site, And the Phantom Facebook page, Troy is slanging orders like a new jack right now. And people are getting their stuff and they're really happy. They took our advice and I have not heard one negative thing. Everybody's like, man, this thing's fast. So I bought one of those motors, bought one of those batteries. Dude, best thing I ever used. It's so freaking fast. So I'm glad to hear that. And there's other fast stuff out there too, but this is what we like. So again, with the Hobby Wing, I love the Hobby Wing stuff. And RCRI, that's what all these chassis are. Right here, RCRI. If you want one of these Black Widow chassis and you just want the chassis, you want to attempt at putting one of these together by yourself, these are not a snap tight model like a Traxxas vehicle is. There's a lot of shimming and custom stuff that goes into these, as far as bracing the chassis into the wheelie bar and all kinds of stuff that we do. If it looks like a simple build to you, it'd take a second look. So is there any other questions out there?
Rear shocks using front or rear mounted to the body mount holes. No explanation. That's just what's on there.
What do you mean? Say that again.
Rear shocks, ? Using front or rear.
Okay, in the rear I'm using rear shocks. In the front I'm using front shocks. So I'm not running short ones all the way around. And then what's the next part?
No explanation, just what's on there.
Oh, okay. If you notice, we have completely abandoned this shock position. I know Ricky's got a car here that uses those shock positions for his body mounts. I actually 3 years ago when I first started setting up my first car, which was the Ghost, I had chosen to. I'm like, well, those screw holes are right where I want to put it, and that's where the body mount is. So let's lean them in and see what it does, and it works phenomenal. So I'm able to use a long shock that keeps a lower slung chassis as if I lowered the shock with an internal limiter, but I didn't. And it works really, really good.
I'm checking to see what we got. Anything else that...
Tony
want
wants to
everybody-
race the gunslinger.
What's that?
Tony wants to race the gunslinger.
Tony wants a piece of everybody.
Bring him out. All I got to say one thing about
Randy
the-
Bo Bandy
I
over
got
here will race you.
One thing to say about 2020 race season and the Gunslinger to everybody that wants to race it. I'm telling you, it's loaded. She's ready to rock. So, what else we got?
I don't see.
Tony Cortez. He was a guy I took under my wing last year, and I gave him.
This is Junior.
Oh, Junior. Junior's his son. What's up, Tony? Junior. Tony lives out in Vegas and actually gave me some information. He's a Can-Am mechanic, and I wanted to buy a razor for me and Emma, and he gave me some do's and don'ts and what to look for and what not to. And I feel like I got a really good deal on it, and I picked the right one, and it's just thing rips for me and Emma. And I bought it all based off of Tony's information. And anyway, Tony Cortez Sr. Is his father, and he lives locally here, and he was getting into it, and he kind of drifted over towards me and my tech, and used a lot of my tech, and then next thing you know, he's knocking on my door, and he's sitting in second spot on our list, and I was really looking forward to what was going to come out of Tony's shop this year, and the way he's talking, it sounds like he's about ready to get back into it. So I hope he does. We always, I think he's still sitting 8th on the list, even without being there for a race. So that's what he said last night.
Right behind me.
Yeah. So if Tony's able to come back out, that's awesome. I always welcome the competition, and Tony's a great guy. So if you're out there watching Tony Sr., what up, homie? What else we got, guys?
So if it's 6.5, what's the equivalent per inch? Per inch? Inches, feet, etc. I'm not sure I understand what that
Let's
is,
see.
Vernon.
I think he was talking about rollout.
Well, whatever that is going to take, I don't know what he means there, but that's going to definitely take some math. So, I don't know, whoever that was,
What dischargers? Oh, were the ones you showed. This is
It's made by Sky RC.
Sky RC.
So Sky RC, actually, if you can go over there and look, Sky RC makes that little engine or motor analyzer. You don't have to pull it out. Just turn the camera over there. The motor. Oh, she doesn't know what she's looking for.
A box.
The motor analyzer that I have, and then right to the left of it, the next box over to the left, is the weight scale system that I have. They make a lot of cool stuff that a lot of other companies don't make, and Natsu makes this too. I think they're what, $60?
I've seen them from $69 to $100.
So, but it's worth it. I love that thing. I can't tell you how many times I go out and I charge 10 packs and I only end up running 2, and so I bring them home and I discharge them. Or my packs have been sitting for 2 or 3 weeks and I got nothing else to do, so I want to come out and cycle, 30 battery packs, and I run them all off of that thing, and it's just boom, next one, because it discharges them really fast. It's a really good investment. I really. If anybody buys one of these and they've actually hooked up the polarity backward to this, you don't have to send it in. It's not broken. If you pop underneath the rubber pads, there's screws, and if you pop this bottom plate off, there's a 40 amp fuse in there. You put it in, get the polarity right the next time, and it's back to working. I know because I did it.
Learning from experience.
Yes. I was at a sedan race in Delta over in Antioch, and I was rushing. It was my second. I was running 2 cars that day, and I was rushing on my first car so I could get out of the way because I was really homing in on the second class, and I hooked up a battery wrong to it, and it went pop immediately.
Got a lot of tire questions. What tires? You don't have to tell your specs, but what brand, rear wheel, and tire?
Well, I won't talk
This
about
one and that one.
Yeah, I have round black rear wheels or tires. I use the J Concept Star wheel, and I think we've briefly touched on that before. We don't run bead locks. They look cool. They don't hold the wheel nearly as good as super glue does, and they're heavy as hell. So if you can get away from a bead lock and run a glued lightweight wheel like the J Concepts. I think Proline has one out too, which is just a black drag racing wheel. They're so much lighter. One bead lock assembly without the tire on it weighs as much as all 4 of my rims. So that's how light these things are. So again, I want to keep the car light. Weight is not where I want the wheels, because if the wheels are heavy, the motor's got to turn that weight. So. And the tires, there's a lot of good tires out there, guys. And again, tires that even if I told, the guys that have been around me, they know what tires I'm using. If you ask around, you're going to find out. But I don't need to go out of my way. I'm not sponsored by anybody, so I don't need to promote it. There's good tires out there. The Hoosiers are good. The Proline Primes are good.
I've ran J Concept Octagons. I really like them. They were just hard for me to get.
I have several set of Primes for her car, and every now and then I'm out running. I don't want to tear off a set of these. These are expensive. They're $50 for one set of rears, and they last about 6 passes. That's how thin they are. So unless you are willing to buy wheels and tires every 2 months at the tune of $400 to buy your next set of wheels, then this isn't for you. If you want to, I'll say this: if you want to know what I really run, and you're interested in buying a bunch of these, then contact me and I'll hook you up. But that's usually the turn off for people. They go, "Oh, you want what? Oh, they only last how long? Oh, I'm good."
Yeah, was it the features you can get? I've seen people use them for multiple race days.
Oh yeah, and the Pro Lines too. The Pro Lines last forever compared to these. I literally, if I go out and practice with one battery pack, which is 3 or 4 hits, I know that that's a brand new set of tires. Because once I've worn them down after 2 or 3 hits off the battery, I know that they're too thin already to go race with. So a new set of tires. I go to the race, I run my first round, my second round, my third round. Depending on the day and how hard of burnouts I've done on them, I'll end up putting a brand new set on for the last qualifier. So, or their last round. So this is my new grudge car, guys. I don't know. Anybody wants any information on how to build one of these, or if they don't want to build one and they want to pay us to build one, we'd be more than happy to set these up. We don't make much money off them. They're VIN numbered cars, So, what about anything else out there floating around in the RC world?
No, I don't think. I don't have. Oh, there's all the rest of them. Shocks.
If I haven't mentioned you,
where are the matching shirts? We are wearing matching shirts.
The bowling shirt.
Phantom. I'd like to mention Phantom again. If I haven't mentioned, had I mentioned them?
Yeah.
Okay. Phantom RC products. Get a hold of them, guys.
Anything I wear, anything I run, I bought.
I bought this shirt. We don't get no shirts and hats and stuff. We buy all that stuff.
There you go. It should go black, red, black though.
Oh, here we go. Sam Spinelli, are your guys' tires 80% of winning because tires are 90% of off road?
No, I don't think so. Again, that's one of the things. It's like the spoiler and the tires and the gearing and my tune and my thick wire and my shock fluid and my springs and my wedge and my suspension setting. It's all things working in a correlation. For my setup, these tires work.
Because you take those tires and put on somebody else's car.
A really good thing is I can take these tires, and we've tried them on Randy's car, and Randy's car doesn't like them.
Nope.
Doesn't like them at all. Just spins the tire. So, which is weird because they're super. I mean, they're super soft. They're super soft tires. And like I said, guys, to prep these, you know what kind of prep I do? This is what real no prep prepping is.
Oh, here we go. VIN number cars. What's that mean? Means that car's gonna have a number that's only for that car, just like your VIN in your real car.
Yep.
That VIN tells you exactly what that car is about.
And the one thing I always, I will always regret of selling.
So would it
the
be more
Ghost,
serial number versus VIN number?
It's a serial number. Yeah, whatever. Okay?
It's
got a freaking number
clarify.
etched into it.
Because there are
What
differences.
number is the Ghost car?
Number 1.
001, ladies and gentlemen. This is serial number 002. Ricky has 3 and 4. We've built a couple other cars, so we're still turning out low serial number cars. If you guys want to get one of these, they don't happen overnight. It takes me 2 to 3 weeks to build one of these for somebody and ship it to you. And I can sell them with the stock suspension.
I gotta answer. I got one. Freddie, when am I gonna get some tattoos? What do you mean I get some tattoos? I got
RC10. I got RC10. It's older and
I got
smaller.
this one. I got this one. King of the streets.
King of the streets.
I got one on the back of my leg. I got 2 on my chest. I got tattoos. Just don't wear them all on my arms.
Oh my
for
god, now you
everybody to
guys
see,
got matching
I guess.
RC tattoos.
Not matching.
Wait a
That's
minute.
One of a kind.
Not yet.
Idea. Idea. So anyway, I was getting back to it. Is we can set you one price at the end of this of the spectrum with a Proline Trans and one of these chassis and all the goodies for the suspension as far as the shocks goes and the springs and the oils and everything, with a Hobby Wing speed control, and the motor, and that's it. So you gotta put your battery, your servo, your receiver, and your body on it. And other than that, it's ready to run. Or we can do a full ready to run car. I mean,
Money's no object. So build you whatever you want.
yeah. And the speed controls that I add in these, I buy them full price. They're I think $149. They come with legacies, and I don't run that through my sponsorship. So because it's the right thing to do, and I've always done that since day one. So I think in my whole 2.5 years of being with 1.5 years of being with Hobby Wing, I think I've maybe bought 8 or 10 speed controls, and every single one of them is in these cars behind me. So, but yeah, these are great cars. So we can, and then the other end of the spectrum is all the RPM stuff and the sway bar and the aluminum outers, and the lightweight screw kit. And all that kind of fancy stuff that makes this car what it is. We can also do something like that too. So
Get rid of some of that Traxxas high tolerance.
the high tolerance, yeah.
Go for low tolerance.
The Traxxas high tolerance, yeah. It doesn't seem to affect the cars, which is
No,
crazy.
yeah.
But I grabbed one of my associated buggies and I'm like, it doesn't move at all, So, is there any other questions out there, guys?
Nope.
I don't think so. I don't see anything else.
Nothing else, huh?
No.
Is there anything you guys want to talk or bring up anything or? This is my
Freddie,
car.
I do got forearm tattoos. They're on the inside. Do you custom paint bodies?
I don't. I'm not.
That's a lot. I mean, there's so much that I've seen a lot on the because I follow a lot of the chat pages for the RC painting, and there's people,
painters out there, guys.
Oh, there's tons of painters.
Hit up-
Badass painters.
Hit up
that-
Rocco Epler.
I don't paint my bodies. Can you hand me that right behind you, Jamie? That body. So my bodies are really, really, really basic. I don't want a lot of colors. I just want a nice light shoot of paint. I put a little foo-foo in it, the lame flake, to
Pixie
make it
dust.
look cool. But it is just, I mean, I'm not bad at painting, but I've probably painted 5,000 bodies in my life. I've been doing this for 33 years. But I don't do stuff that's all crazy and stuff like, I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, if you guys want something, you guys are going to have to... I'm not a paint guy. I'm not a body and paint guy. I'm a chassis and motor guy. So, did you do that one, Ricky?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, the cars that are all like mega striped out and stuff, I'm just not into that crap. I think that just...
Full on like scenes on the hoods. That's crazy. I don't have the artistic ability for that.
Rocco Epler with RC Bombshells. That's the guy that was in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy painted bodies.
Yeah, and if you
All
guys
that
are into
stuff's
that,
crazy.
you guys want to sink $100 or whatever in a body, that's cool, dude. I personally know that this body, believe it or not, even though it's such a basic paint job, I got 2.5 hours into this with the cutting and the centering and the honing and the sanding and the canards and the spoiler and the holes in the back and everything I do. I don't have time for a crazy paint job because I know this thing gets one little nick in it, it's getting changed out and it needs to be changed out like that. So, as far as crazy paint jobs, I don't do custom paint jobs. So, and that's why,
They look good, but once they get messed up, that's it.
yeah, you're done.
I did that.
I can't, how many people had at races, crowded around them, dude, your body looks so sane. They did. All these people I've seen like that, and they go out there to practice and they take one wrong turn and boom, it slides for 40 feet on the roof. And they're like, and you can hear it every time. There goes that body. I'm like, oh, that sucks. So keep it basic, Not only that, I think I covered this in our very first episode. The less amount of paint, if you were to hold this up to the light, you could the white is almost translucent. There's like no paint in it because I don't want any weight. Those cans are heavy, and then they're light when you're done, and the can is empty because all that weight is on your body. So, and some of these guys can airbrush and keep it nice and light. I personally, I can't. I don't do that stuff. So, I'm in awe of the guys that can.
Yeah, no, I do airbrushing my own bodies, and it's hard as hell.
Yeah. So I have a brand new airbrush system down there I've never even opened. But yeah, that little perfect corner right there to match the other one might have taken me 15 minutes to get right because I'm like, God damn it, it's just a piece of tape.
No, Gabe, badass paint jobs don't add speed. Stickers make your car faster.
They don't. It's like what I used to tell the Chevy guys.
Stickers
Chrome don't get you home.
Stickers make your car faster. We all know that.
Stickers do. Totally. Totally. What else we got, guys?
Just people talk about paints and their preferences and painters and what now.
Yeah, if you guys can chime in, if somebody's looking for a paint, anybody, if you're looking for anything or some information and they don't ask me and they ask somebody else, be a fellow RC guy and help them out. Don't be a jerk. That's the one thing I want people to get from what I was trying to get across from the first segment of this without bringing it up again is just don't be a jerk. This is supposed to be fun, man. It really is. And it just really, really makes me sick that some of the stuff that's gone on in the last week has gone on. Ricky's like, dude, let's just sell these cars and build a real race car. There's so much less drama in a real race car than there is with these things. But we don't want to do that. We want to continue to race these. We just don't want any drama in our lives. And I don't want people calling my sponsors and stuff. So get a life. What else, guys? Any questions? Is Jake Rosen still watching? Or has he already gone to bed?
I don't know.
I didn't even see him log on, so I don't know if
Jake.
with a lot of people watching. So
Jake, I'm 43 years old this year, and I remember when I was 12 years old, and I lived in Marin County after my parents got divorced, and me and two of my buddies, Pat and Greg, we would take the bus. We'd wait 45 minutes or an hour for the bus to take it up to Ronan Park to go to Jake's. Actually, back then, I remember Jake's, 35 years before, whatever it was, before it was Jake's, it was RP Hobbies. And so I've known the guy forever, and to be where I'm at right now and having these videos and having Jake chime in, and even if he watches for 5 minutes, he still went there and turned it on. It just means a lot to me. So if you're out there, Jake, still.
what's with all the bins and the wheel wells?
Air deflection.
So we've gone over this before. I'm assuming this question is coming from somebody who didn't see our other episode. The air is going to go by this car, and where it's going to either lift and pop the car up for a backflip, or it's going to slow the car down with drag, is if the air gets into the body. Okay, so I've done a couple things here to get away with that. Now, anything that's in the airflow is called a spoiler because it spoils air. The canards are here to keep the front end down. It's like a little mini wing, okay? But it also has a second advantage of it kind of deflects some of the air going into the wheel well. And if some air does travel over it and make it to go inside the body, I have the body bent at a 45-degree angle here. Some guys might not like how it works or looks, but I don't care. I love how it works. So what that will also do is a majority of the leftover air from the canard will hit that and get flung out instead of gone in. Same thing in the back wheel well. In the front, I have just a little tiny, it's just a 1/2-inch kick out. And then in the back, I'll either fold the corners in or cut the body up really high so the air can just flow out. And then in the back, I have the back of the book. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're going to cut me with your
canard.
canard.
I cut you with my canard, my Judnard, dude. Oh, my God. You better call the ambulance. The back of the body is cut out for airflow. And then I've also, if you notice, I've drilled holes in the back window. So if any air gets up in the cab, it won't cavitate in there. It'll come out of the body. So we know, what do we know? We know that air is going to get in the body. We know it. Yep. But we're trying to minimize the air going in with this little stuff going on up front before we even deal with what did get in. And then once you get to the back of the body, that's what all the cutouts and the holes are for, and that's to get rid of some of the air that did make it in the body.
You don't want lift.
It does a good job. There's very, very minimal body drag from the internal resisting air inside. And you also, my cars never, they pop up a little bit because that's what they do, but my cars never go over backward because they're glued to the ground. So, and a lot of guys use this, you know. And if you don't like the canards and you want to just put a little bend out in the front, that'll help too. That'll add a little bit of downforce. That'll keep the air from coming in. This is a 442, an Oldsmobile. He's got the same bends here, so the air won't come in. It'll be deflected out. You know, you don't want it at a perfect 90 because then it's a wall. You want it like that at an angle so it deflects it out. Same thing in the rear, little deflector.
So I can show you how much that actually works.
Here's a Pontiac GTO.
I can show you how much it actually works. This thing pushed into the tire.
Oh, did it?
And wore the paint off. So, I mean, I stuck some tape in there, but it wore the paint off right here from that force. But it's got the same bends. Judnards. Spoiler.
Judd Nizzies. You got
Full-
them Judd Nizzies in full effect.
drilled.
You guys just got beat by a bunch of goddamn nerds. Phantom, baby. Love them packs. Anything else from anybody?
I haven't seen anything popped up.
Nope.
Last couple minutes.
I think everybody went
Oh,
to
hey,
sleep.
if there's one guy watching, so I said that on our last show. I said, hey, if there's anything you guys want us to cover, let me know. And one guy did message me, and I completely forgot what he wanted me to go over. But when he did tell me, I remember the one thing I do remember about it. I was like, oh, yeah, that's a really good one. I should totally go over that. So if you're watching and you messaged me and with an idea for the show, chime in right now. Let me know what that was because I totally forgot. Which I don't like to. I try my best to message back 99.9% of people. Again, COVID-19 is going on. It's wrecking everybody's life right now. I still have to go to work. I'm very grateful for I'm making money. But I also have kind of a dark part of it that I work for the police department. And everything's dirty. And it's just a tough time right now. So it's, I'm having a little tough time getting back to people. Oh, and guys, hey, also, there's been a couple guys, and I'm not mad at them because they've been like, oh my God, I'm on the other side of the country. I totally forgot. Please don't message me when you get up to go to work in North Carolina or Florida or New York at 5 o'clock in the morning, because 5 o'clock in the morning for you is 2 o'clock in the morning for me. And I have a small window to get sleep every night. The other night, my phone, the guy sent me some messages. He asked my opinion on something about a week ago, and I said, okay, well, you need to send me pictures of A, B, and C. And at 2:35 in the morning, my phone went ding, 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 ding. Like I was a little ticked. So he messaged me back. He said, I'm really, really sorry, man. I forgot all about it, and that's okay. And I want to answer. I think I did. I went on to answer his questions. No big deal. But so what I'm getting down to is just respect that I work, guys. Please, it's not, I'm not going to say I'm only taking questions from Monday through Friday because I'll take questions whenever. But if it's 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning, Let a guy sleep, please. I need my sleep. So,
We ain't got nothing else. And I agree with you, Gabe. I'm not gonna repeat that because gotta keep it family friendly.
family friendly.
But I agree with your comment completely.
Okay, now I want to know whisper.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll say
Definitely.
it. I'll say it. I'll say it for you, Gabe. You're not over there. You're over there. Fuck COVID-19, man. Yeah, I have my own feelings on the whole thing. My heart goes out to anybody that's been affected it, whether it's financially or job wise or living situation wise, or somebody who knows somebody that's gotten sick or anybody that's gotten sick with it. It's just a crappy thing. You know,
Mike
so.
Stephenson,
That's a
does
good
Phantom
one.
make a 4.5 drag motor? Kind of lost on ordering one.
So what you want to do, bud, is you want to order a Icon 2.
It's the Icon 2 4.5.
Okay, so Icon 2.0, and meaning it's the second version. It's not a 2-turn, but it's a 4.5 turn. That's what we run in our cars. So Troy at Phantom makes everything, just like Hobby Wing or anybody else. He makes 5.5s and 6.5s and 7.5s and 2.5s. And we found that the 4.5 works good for us. So it's not a drag specific motor. Maybe in the future that could be something. But right now, what we're running is the Icon 2.0. So if you guys want a hot motor, I mean, there's so many motors out there, and there's great motors out there. But man, I've tested. I mean, how many motors did I have in here in the last 6 months, guys? When I first got the motor, I mean, a lot of them. I was buying 2 at a time. This company, that company, that company, that company, that company, and I had this stack of motors, and it got expensive because it's all out of my pocket.
I did that. $100 a pop. I found good brands.
Yeah.
I found a good price. $100 a pop, and they were both soft. I was like, oh.
And within about 2 or 3 weeks, see, I'd go, okay, I'm going to test these 4, and then I'd get like 3 out of 4, and before I did the tests, I'd see another brand, and I'm like, oh, I haven't tried theirs. I'll order 1 or 2 of those. Next thing you know, I got $1,500 in motors sitting in here, and you know what I came with at the end of the day? I was like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm going with the Phantom. So that's why I run them. That's why I said, when Troy reached out to us. And we're really, really grateful that Troy allows us to speak on his behalf of Phantom, because they're just great products. He's a great company. If you've been on the fence on what to buy as far as a motor or a battery or anything else he might have on the website, now's the time to buy. He's a small company, help him out. But yeah, he's getting orders out, guys. Everything's, as far as I know, is starting to speed back up for him. Stuff's coming in, and it's really, really good stuff. So, anything else? What
do those
about-
chassis have kick up? Oh, probably for the front. I think there's one guy asking if the chassis have kick up. I'm sure if he's talking about the front or for the bulkhead.
Okay, so this chassis that we run is actually it's quite unique. It's the only one that I've ever seen where you leave the A-arms and everything where they are on the slash, but you turn the bulkhead around backward, which means the shock towers, instead of in the back side, is in the front side, and you run the shocks in the back of the tower. And yes, that takes a big amount of the kick up out of it. Now there is still some there. Oh no, it's very, very little. So as you can see, where the A-arm is flat with the bulkhead, that's usually up here in the angle, and it has been eliminated out of this thing. So yes, it does. It takes, I want to say probably all of it. Yeah, those hinge pins are flat. So yes, the kick up is not there with the Black Widow chassis. And it is very, very unique in that way that I've never seen any other chassis put together like that. If there is one, somebody chime in and correct me, but as far as I know, there's no other chassis that do that. So
We got 50 hardcore watchers. We got 50 people still with us.
well, that's good. Hey, I want to say thank you guys. I know that even the people that are watching, probably the people that will watch us in the next couple weeks, have probably been, whether you're just cooped up in the house and eager and waiting to go back to work. COVID-19 is if you have another RC car, an old RC10 or a Frog or something, go out to the backyard, go run through the mud, go have fun, get your mind off of it. But thank you for the watchers. Thank you for the supporters, the people that bring the thousands and thousands and thousands of views that we get. You guys are why we're doing this. And what did I say I said, let's try this out, the very first episode. If I can just reach one person, make one guy faster, make one guy go, you know what, I watched that video and I understand this about my car and I had no idea before. Well, it turned out we not only accomplished that, But we did that times the thousands. I get all the time. I get people commenting, "Hey Dan, I post a picture of a picture of the back of my car," and one guy or two guys will chime in and go, won't even say anything about the picture or what we're talking about. They're just say, "Hey man, thanks a lot for the help." Ricky gets it all the time. Randy gets it all the time. We are just helping so many people. It's unbelievable, and this is stuff that you can watch it over until you get it, and when you apply it to your chassis, you can go out and it really does work. So
yeah, I got one today. It was a post about a body, so I posted something I do on my body. That's not one of my race bodies, but just a beater body that I did, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Yep, I don't know what you're talking about. Here's the same thing basically." And he's like, "Oh, thanks for putting on those video you guys put on." It's like
I get that all the time, and it's so heartwarming, guys, and
makes it funner to keep coming back to want to do it more.
Well, not bringing it up again, but that's another good point of what we were talking about before with all this drama and stuff. Is we're doing this out of, how many other people on the internet have, sought out the week before and gotten 3 transmissions to show everybody, or broke all their things down, or not only showed their cars off on live TV, but explained why we're using what we use and how we set it up, or showing our motors, or what else have we done where we got stuff for the show? You know what I'm saying? And I want to help people, and so for somebody to do that, it really hurts.
Matt Hayes, yeah, you assholes have cost me a fortune.
Unfortunately, that's the downside to watching this show, right, Emma? So get your checkbook ready.
Get your checkbook ready.
It can be a fun, cheap sport.
Excuse me.
That's awesome. Oh, Emma, your daddy loves you so much. Okay, she's my kid. Anyway, yeah, so that really kind of broke me down this week, man. I do this because I want to help people, and I feel like I figured this out pretty good, and there was a lot of guys struggling, and I wanted to help that, and I feel like I've helped, and I've helped, and I've helped. And somebody told me something this week. They said, "You know what? If you're fading out of the spotlight, what is the number one way to get the most spotlights on you all at once? And that is to walk down the street and find the biggest, baddest dude on that street and pick a fight with him." And that's exactly what happened this week. And it really breaks my heart that RC cars have stooped that low. So we do this. We're going to continue to do this. No one's going to stop us. Sponsors or not. We're going to be there racing. We're going to be helping people because it's what we like to do. So
yeah, fuck TS. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure it's something important.
I don't know.
Gabe posted it. It's got to be important.
I don't know if that means...
I don't know.
Yeah, transcontinental surfing or what, but anyway, and to any of my sponsors,
That sounds good.
I want to say this to the world right now. To any of my sponsors, after being a sponsee and being so dedicated to your products, if anybody is going to hear half of a story from a clown and not call me and get my side from it and want to do something drastic because of it without even hearing my side of the story, then I don't know if I want to represent your products anyway. So I have a lot of moral fiber. I have a lot of integrity. My word is everything. And anybody who's ever met me or dealt with me can say, he always sends the stuff exactly like I bought it on time. Or Dan would give, he'd get up at 3 a.m. and pull you out of the mud or save you from a DUI or give you a part off his RC car so you could make your race. I'm that kind of guy. I was always raised to help the next person in line. So, yeah. Anyway, is there any other questions about the cars? I got the car right here. This is a brand new build. It's the Gunslinger. Hopefully coming to a track near you. And if anybody's got any questions about it, pretty much everything we applied to the Ghost that was in the first episode on February 7th was our first episode. If you scroll back far enough on Sonoma County Nprc, unfortunately, that's where our videos are for right now. We'll get them on YouTube, guys, in the near future. All the stuff we talked about suspension-wise and stuff is all incorporated in this car. Why do we keep using the same recipe?
Because it works.
Because it works.
Why change something?
Yeah, and that's just, I'm sorry, but that's just a hot rod right there.
There's 4 of them over here.
There's lots of them.
6,
they're like rabbits,
7.
Emma.
How much for the Gunslinger?
As it sits right now, well, I don't want to sell it. As it sits right now, I'd sell it for $1,500 cash. That doesn't come with a radio.
There you go, Ryan.
No, this car is not for sale. This car, This car was put together with my recipe, and some of my good friends here, they're lighting a fire under me because Ricky was really affected by all this stress this week, and he's like, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. This is stupid, and I got like that towards the end of last year, and that's why a lot of people go, oh, did he do it to fake us out or to play a game or to use his spy tactics? No, I sold the ghost first and foremost because I was ready to get out of this drama. So
he said, send him your PayPal.
Oh God! I can build you one exactly like this. I was just playing around. This one is not for sale. I can set you up with one of these. We can get a chassis. I think, what does this chassis go for retail?
$129 or $139.
Okay, so the
put the link in the comments.
Okay, so yeah, we can get you RCI chassis. I can build you a car. I can set you a car up. And if that's the route you want to go, we can definitely help you out, man. We'll get you into the right stuff. So, or the stuff that we run that's right for us. So, I think that maybe one or two, somebody told me something else this week. They said, when you start doing good in anything, the haters are going to come out of the woodwork. And I think that's kind of what have happened. And I think that some people are haters because sometimes when I get intense about explaining something, I'll be like, yeah, and this is what it would run because it's the best. Well, I didn't mean that nothing else works. You know what I'm saying? If I said that and that offended you, I'm sorry. You do something else. You can do that. That's why I always try and end when I'm showing you a product. If you like something else and you want to buy that, that's cool. It's your money, But for us in our race program, this is what works. This is what we run, and this is what we beat people with. So,
well, we ran out of questions because the phone died.
No, there's one more.
Oh, there's one more.
Open up your phone.
Open up your phone.
What's realistic money amount to compete to be on the list for turnkey car? I've heard a number, but want your opinion.
Well, there's a rule of thumb with RC cars. If you're going to be competitive with one car. Okay, well, see, my old race team said, hey, you give me a brand new Mustang and you pay $150,000 and it is a race car. I mean, a Continental Tire Series Mustang Challenge car, okay, a real race car. You can't drive it on the street. It's not street legal. And once you pay that $100 to $150, or $100 to $150,000 in depending on options to build the car, it's going to cost you $100,000 to run the car for a year, and that's if you don't wreck the car. Okay, it's the same things on a much smaller scale with RC cars. And the rule of thumb that I've always heard for years and years is, no matter what class you want to run 8 scale, and even though that'd be on the cheaper side for the 8 scale, but a B6 buggy or a sprint car, usually $1,000. If you want to build a serious car with serious electronics, just the car ready to rock, is going to be $1,000, okay? I'm not saying that I'm selling cars for that. I'm saying that I can put a car together for somebody if they can't or don't want to do that on their own, and it's 100% legit. I don't take any sponsorship outs building it to save some money. I don't care about the money. I make good money. I don't need the money from this, okay? I don't do this for the money. If I did this for the money, we probably would have quit doing this after the first episode, because I guarantee you, with all the parts that I'm sending people for free, as far as slipper, like the guy I told tonight with the O-rings on the diff, I can't find any. It's COVID-19. Can't get any parts. Dude, tell me what diff. If I got some laying around, I'll give you some of my O-rings. I mean, somebody to run the hobby. We do. Dan's giving O-rings away, bro. It's just not how it works. So. I can help people put a car together, similar if not copy to this, and it just depends on what you want to pay. But I'd have to say, if you want to get into this cheap and have a stock slash, maybe with a Pro line and an XR10 Pro, probably about $700 or $800. If you want a little bit fancier stuff with a better chassis, you're probably right around $1,000, $1,200. This is you guys out there building a car. This is about what it costs to get into this. It is not super expensive, but it's not super cheap either. That's why when we hold all these cars up, I always say we're very, very blessed by the grace of God to be able to do this stuff on the level that we do it on. So I hope that, it's hard to put and it also depends on what you want to do. If somebody says, well, I want an associated car, think Randy will build me one? Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
If that's where you want to go, or this is where you want to go. And there's all kinds of different things you can do out there. So, And I would encourage as many people to, if they can, build their own stuff. And the only way to really, really 110% have the best shot at knowing what your car does, or when it doesn't do it, how to fix it, is if it's a car that you built, every nut, every bolt on the car. So, we have our lovely camera girl back tonight, Jamie.
Hi.
Jamie Garlip.
You got more questions?
Oh.
Is there something that you do to your car that you won't tell anyone?
There's always something.
Little tiny stuff, not stuff that is super huge. It's just like, don't worry about it. Yeah, I don't need to go around. I'm not sponsored, like I said, by them, and I'm not promoting for anybody. So I spend my own hard-earned money at the police department on my tires, and I run my tires. My fronts, I run Proline Primes. I run DE Racing front rims. My tires are my tires. You ask around, you probably find out what they are. It's not that big a deal. My tune, I will give out for a newbie a really, really good, strong race tune, but it's not going to be full on balls to the walls. What I run, I just won't do that because I don't want to burn anybody's stuff up. Let's say they don't know how to gear the car, and I give them one of my exact same hot tunes for my car, and they go out and burn it up, and I don't want them ever saying, Dan, Judd's tune blew my car up, because I've had that happen locally around here a couple times with other people. So I give them a strong, fast tune, but not one that's going to hurt anything if you do anything else wrong on the car. So my tune's my secret. I don't think that there's anything else in my whole race program that we haven't opened the book to the world on as far as what we do. What chassis we run, what springs, what weights, what transmission, what motors, what batteries, what speed controls, what connectors, for God's sake. We're opening our doors here to let you guys in and see what we're running,
How about front shocks all around?
If you can put a car together with front shocks because you want a little more low profile look or something, and you can make it work, then by all means do it. If that's what you want to do. Again, this is it's an open canvas. I like my cars to pop up because that's what naturally these chassis want to do when you launch. They pop up. So I don't want my chassis to pop up and that's the end of my shock, and now I've lifted the front tire off the ground. Because once you do that, you're putting a strain on the motor. I like to keep full droop in my cars. My rear shocks, some people say they got to be limited. They're not limited. They're rear stock Traxxas shocks, and the only reason why they only droop so much is the fact that I have them leaned in and they've lost length from being out here. But other than that,
Don't make me report your comment, Matt Kid.
Oh, God. Thanks. Hey, I didn't know Matt was watching. What's up, Matt? I love you, Matt. Matt's a local racer, big-time RC guy, real smart dude, pro racer. I look up to him a lot as far as the RC racing goes. Glad to have him as a friend. So,
My sentiments exactly.
Well,
we out?
I think we've been almost 3 hours.
What?
Shut up.
How long is it?
I don't know. What does it
Right
say?
here
What
it
time is
says
it?
Randy went live over 2 hours ago. And it says it's been
Well, we
2
started
hours.
at 8, so what time is it?
My phone's dead.
Oh.
You killed it twice.
10:35.
10:35.
Okay, so 2 hours and 35
Here,
minutes.
log into his and you can see.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Since she's reading
Just turn it back. Oh, here.
green eggs and ham.
Boom. Boom. What did you... Let me see this.
There was a commercial. If you see something weird.
Boom, ski. 2.6 hours. Gabe Emerson. Gabe's been with us all night. What's up, Gabe? What's up, Gabe?
Gabe, I'm easy.
Except
Huh?
Gabe.
I'm easy dunk by now.
Who's
That
that?
must translate to I'm really drunk right now.
Was that Crown? Off of Crown?
In easy drunk by now. What?
I'm easy drunk.
Is he? I can just picture him with his shirt off,
Oh,
sipping
no.
Jack Daniels, holding his phone up on his kitchen floor right now.
There's no
Crown.
translate
Crown.
button on that comment, Gabe.
It's all Crown.
Brown, not Jack.
Oh, crowns. All
Remember,
right.
he ran out of Crown last week.
He did run out of crown. I
We
ran
get
out
a
of
test
chew.
video.
Yeah, I should have been in the NBA.
Yeah,
We're
that's
good?
how we call it.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in to episode 7 of NPRC Talk, brought to you by 707 Streetcars, my team. And I guess we'll see you next week. We're going to try and keep these pretty going pretty good as far as everybody being cooped up in their house and wanting to have some kind of way to watch a little something on TV that they do. So we're going to continue to do these, I think. Again, get to me, guys. I promise I'll write them down this time. Get to me with anything you guys want to see covered in the next upcoming shows. And until then, we will see you. And don't try and call anybody sponsors because it ain't cool. Bye, guys.
Later.
Ricky, say bye.
Peace.
Peace.
I'm responding to people.